$14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
Welcome everybody to VIS. We are bringing you guys the second split of the Spring Challenger series here at VIS64. As always, I'm excited to be joined by Forecourt, Jester, and Dowsey tonight. Guys, thank you so much for coming by and joining me. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Forecourt, did you get a chance to sit down, pop some popcorn, and watch the challenge battles? As a lot of the results from that battles, they will kind of carry over to the second split. True. Oops.
Now coming into this one, that's going to have to be a heck of a comeback story.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry everyone for the mute on your guys' channel. I did have you guys muted. Oops. As I get everything
all Dowsey.
Hi guys, my name's Dowsey.
Yeah, I know. You guys just introed and talked about everything you guys saw and felt, and all the viewers are spamming chat probably on Twitch, letting me know, hey, I'm muted. No worries though, but we're back. Sorry about that. Alright, so yeah, challenge battles were really a big deal this split. I mean, absolutely surprising, and of course, they directly impact our split number 2, as you were saying, Forecourt, Echo Fox and Misfits dropping out of Challenger, or of Vainglory 8 into Challengers. Is a pretty big surprise, and it's going to be hitting us right here this week as we get into the schedule. Just a quick recap, everybody, of what this schedule is and actually, kind of how this all works. The Challenger Series is a tournament of 64 teams, double elimination, with best of 3 matches taking place over the next 3 weeks. As we get into the final week, so the top 8 teams from both groups of Group A and Group B will compete in a playoff style series where they will compete for the top 3 spots. And of course, we do have a breakdown of how that's going to work. The prize pools, though, for this tournament are pretty exciting. I mean, just like last split, first place going to walk away with $1250. But if you really look at this, the key takeaway is the top 3 teams, they get a chance to go back at it again for these challenge battles. And it's likely, we expect, to see the teams that got knocked out trying to vie for those positions, for those top 3 spots, so they can get right back into the Vainglory 8.
That's exactly what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, it's always like that, the big aim, the big comeback story from challenger to champion. Everybody wants to be number 1.
Exactly. So top 4 get a little bit of a prize winning when they walk away, but those top 3, those are the positions that are most desirable. Here is our 32 teams from group number A, and there's a lot of exciting teams in this group. We have Echo Fox number 1 starting off the very, very top of this series. We won't be streaming that right away. We'll be getting to them if they, obviously, we expect them to make it to the second round, and we'll be streaming that in our second stream here tonight. But our first stream, we're actually going to go over and take a look at one of the teams that barely made the challenge battles. They actually got 4th place last bit, and they're seeded number 5. It is going to be Rage Pingers versus Y Fighters. That's going to be a pretty exciting matchup, actually, as we take a look at the rosters there. Number 5 Rage Pingers going up against seed number 60 Y Fighters. And right now when we look at this first couple rounds, guys, there's going to be a lot of high seeds going up against a lot of low seeds, so typically not a whole lot of surprises here, right?
That's what you would expect. I think over in EU we had a similar story, right, with some of the higher seeds going up against the lower seeds, and they kind of play a little bit cocky sometimes. These higher seeds, they play like there's nothing to lose, and actually you can make mistakes, and we saw some kind of forceful plays from the lower seed teams. So it's not as clear cut. It all comes down to how the higher seeds respect their opponent.
Right, yeah, we've seen most of these series usually go with the higher seed winning, but what we have seen, and Forecourt, you've seen some of this too, is where they don't play maybe as well as they should have the first game and make a few mistakes. We saw NRG run into this issue a little bit. They're actually in Group A as well, and that should be our final stream of the night. But they'll sometimes, forget about, oh yeah, we actually need to draft accordingly and play accordingly for these lower matches because they all matter.
Every single match matters. Every match life matters. I don't know. There's a meme in there somewhere, but it's just like in the VGA, right? Every win, every point just kind of leads you again and again and again. Same sort of deal here. The double elimination can go a long way, but one misstep and you're just kind of like looking at every game is now your elimination. Nobody really wants to deal with that. So every game has to matter, especially coming into a mentality like this. We've already seen teams go home from Europe. We did that a little bit earlier here today. And just like some of them just didn't really look ready. They didn't have the mental mindset to come into this competition. There was definitely nerves. There was jitters. There were misplays everywhere. You really got to, some people say it's easy to play video game, Dragon. Well, I challenge that a lot.
I challenge it too. And of course, that's what we're here all about for these Challenger series. And it looks like, guys, the game number 1 of split number 2 is about to take place. Let's get right into the draft.
So, of course, as you said, we've got this game going. A little bit surprising to see Baron banned out straight off the bat here, as it's not really your typical ban. But perhaps Y-Fighters, they have a one-trick Baron up their sleeve, and for the Rage Fingers at the table.
Well, it's definitely possible at this point. We saw a lot of focus on things like Adagio, Lyra, Fortress here a little bit earlier on today. This is, of course, 2.3. We've closed the books on 2.2, never to be heard again. Some will say great, but Lyra is going to be the return and could be a first pick Fortress. Again, these are a lot of, I think, what we're going to be seeing over the next few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with the Fortress going over to the Rage Pingers, I think Fortress possibly one of the most contested picks. This is kind of where you expect an Adagio to come out for Y-Fighters. But it doesn't really look like that's what they want. Everyone's hovering the Arden here, so it makes me think that that's what's going to be locked in. And, Arden, not bad. I think very situational. You kind of have to have a composition set up around it. So I would hope for a glaive, but with a Rona lock in, it seems like my hopes will be shattered.
Rona is... I feel like they're really kind of trying to pick around what could go with this Fortress, because Fortress does lead the way for some very aggressive comps. But Fortress with the melee, we've seen great things with Fortress Koshka. Blackfeather's actually been seeing a good bit of use here today in 2.3 as well. So trying to just kind of contain that a little bit. Arden's very defensive. Rona can be very defensive. She also has early escape mechanism over the wall with out into the fray. So I think that between the two of them, they're just very safe picks.
Yeah, it's probably more comfort picks coming in here for the Y-Fighters. Let us not forget this is a Seed 60 team going up against Rage Pingers, who came 4th in the previous split Challenger series. So when you're going up against the toughest opponent that you could possibly face, well, you're most likely going to want to default to something that you have a lot of hours playing. A Ringo comes forward as the last pick here, which must be a Ringo, as you would expect Curty B to be taking with a weapon power, or not. King Reese.
Prepare for battle.
His name, if they had a Curly and a Mo, then we could have called them the Three Stooges. But no, it's a Curty B. So, Dragon, there we go. Are we all green lit here?
Yeah, looks like we're good to go get in the match. Really excited actually by the drafting by both these teams. So looks like solid games for each of them. Let's get right into it.
Alrighty guys, this is game 1 of the Split 2 for North America Challenger Series here between, of course, Rage Pingers and Y-Fighters. It's going to be a pretty interesting matchup as we jump onto the Halcyon Fold here. Of course, Rage Pingers, like I said, they came kind of runners-up, you could kind of consider it, with the Challenger Series last split. The 4th position gets a bit of money, but it doesn't get into the challenge battles, so kind of that runners-up prize, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, always a bridesmaid, never a bride kind of mentality. I don't know what actually happened to Rage Pingers here. Okay, it's just me. Cool, never mind. 2 of them just stopped right on top of each other on my device, but it looks like they're good to go. I'm all caught up, so never mind on that front. But again, with Jeremy Dragons here with King Reese, that feels like they're trying to set up that front line, trying to set up the peel for Ringo. And Ringo, I think in this comp will do okay. Really depends on how effective Anna Marie and the Blank can be.
Right, it's you know, something that you would expect him to be okay with. You know, extra range means he doesn't actually have to get too close to the fight, since it's most likely going to be a CP Ringo. I can kind of understand why you would play CP Ringo into Vox, because Vox already is fairly short range, so keeping you even further away from your carry could give you a slight advantage depending on how you dish out the damage. But currently look at Rage Pingers, they're going straight on into Wi-Fi in the jungle, looking for a fight here. King Reese is the target, he gets the Vanguard for the extra movement speed, so unfortunately Jeremy Dragons will now be the one targeted. But actually Rage Pingers, all they wanted here was really this farm, getting the doubles, getting the preemptive, means that they're still away, similar to from Wi-Fighters.
It's a big thing to abuse, the level 2, especially with this combination. This jungle comp has straight up won games in solo queue for me. It's just you hit level 2 on top of the Blank, and it doesn't even really matter what your fortress is, but having that level 2, having the possibility of the active camo, but also the fact that you put 2 points into the glimmer shots, that hits so hard early on, and they abused the levels right there. King Reese was only level 1, so he wasn't full build, and then of course Jeremy Dragons this early on, likely not to do much as the Arden. So abusing that, getting that pressure, and Rage Pingers, you know, very calculated risk right there, and it, as you saw, it just wasn't really much of a risk at all, and they got a pretty big reward out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sealing away those first camps. Not only is it gold, but even more importantly, it's experience. It's getting towards your level 6 a little bit earlier, getting ready for those big fights that can happen around the 6-minute mark. We're going to see Wi-Fighters look for a bit of aggression onto the big dog, but not one to be caught off guard. He will be able to just walk on backwards, Sonic Zoom out of range. Doesn't really take too much damage in the process as well. So it's a tough task ahead of fighters so far, as you know, there's already 1,000 gold deficit. You've got the Blank going in to try and steal even more on this Kestrel, and actually King Reese isn't careful, steps into the active camo, okay, but Blank doesn't quite get the stun off. The Blank falling here, a bit of a misplay on the Kestrel, and that is going to be first blood going Wi-Fighters.
I want to say that just based upon looking at that fight, Kestrel's camo faded as soon as she went for the attack. It just kind of fizzled out and nothing blew up.
It was a bit of an issue because, like, there was, like, a good period of time that the Rune was on top of it and the Blank was auto-attacking the doubles, so...
But even losing, like, first blood, getting the backs is really worth, because the Blank going into that fight was level 4 versus level 2. Like, if he had the active camo stun, if he'd actually fought the Rona, I don't think he could have lost that. I really don't. But he prioritized the farm, and I respect that, because money, the lack of experience now going over. Like, King Reese is still only 3, but Blank just hit 5, for example. I mean, if he comes for a rinse-repeat at this point, he could just very well bully Reese out of her own jungle at this point.
Yeah, 100%, you know, and actually look at this build coming out of the Blank Storm.
Yeah.
I'm not
he
sure.
He wants to steal all the farm. Steal all the farm.
Yeah. I guess auto attack dependent. Jeremy Dragons can step into that active camo Vanguards themselves, but the rest of the team's here to clean up the job. Kill goes over to the big dog, and now they're pressing straight on to Curty B here. Curty B gonna get shot over the wall by the glimmer shots. Have to pop that potion. Anna Marie maybe a little bit too deep. Fountain's going to save the life. Now King Reese, well, you got nowhere to go, son. That's a kill going over. Curty B being chased away from the turret as well. 2-1 so far for the Rage Pingers. This is kind of... Oh! One shot to find the kill. Nice stuff coming out of the flank. And this is kind of what we expect, really, from the Rage Pingers.
Yeah, for Rage Pingers, this is just kind of business as normal sort of deal. They've just been doing their game. Blank now level 6 at just before the 5-minute mark. This guy hits level 6. The one-shot comes through, picks up the kill. Like, Reese 4, Jeremy 4, Curdy B 4. And again, their comp is not really set up to deal with the early aggression. Blank and Anna Marie really pushed forward. They were able to steal quite a bit. And now, as you can tell, 3 kills up, a whole bunch of gold up. That is going to be paying off in spades here for the mid game. Basically, Rage Pingers are just going to be able to dominate for the next little bit, simply because they're so far ahead already. And the early game, I think, was just played out really well.
Blank, though, is going to get caught out by a stack here. Will go down. I guess the weakness of Kestrel is that if she does get aggressed onto, then she's likely to lose her life.
If she face checks a bush, yes.
Sure. That is also the case for sure.
So look at Anna
Wi-Fi-
Marie. Just like scouting info, no problem. And these guys, I don't even think Reese is gonna even bring down Big Dog to half.
No, actually, it's complete opposite. King Reese goes down to half, and the Big Dog's just like, okay, that was fun. You know, Serpent's Master first, going down this build. We talked about it a little bit over in EU forecourt. Kind of popularized over in East Asia, Southeast Asia region. You know, a lot of boxes building into it on 2.3. I think this game makes a lot of sense because Rona's going to be on the face of the Big Dog, or at least attempting to be on the face of the Big Dog, and so having that sustain through the initial damage that Rona puts out can actually make the initial matchup fairly even.
It's Big Dog at this point, I think, might even be going into a shiv. He has another book on top of it.
Pretty crazy. It's going to be another fight though inside with Flank, able to get out as well alive. Jeremy Dragon's in trouble as the axe carried forward onto a scout trap though. One more auto attack, but Curdy B can't land it. One shot will find the kill, and that's looking like an ace. Clean stuff really there from the Raging. Split up, take their targets, and take the kills as well. Anna Marie gonna just take the gold miner while Flank goes and jumps on top of these scams, takes all the farm. Rage Pingers, they're just well, just doing you know, good things. They're playing this game fairly cleanly.
Yeah, and again, like the early game advantage that these guys accrued with this comp in the payoff stage here. Mid game, yes, Kestrel got 3-man destroyed in a bush, but at the same time, they got a lot of damage on top of the turret. They were able to return fire. They get their return ace, clear out jungle, pick up turret, kill the sentry, and you're 6,000 gold. You're gonna be 7,000 gold here soon enough. My goodness. And Y-Fighters, like, they're getting desperate here.
They are getting desperate, looking for every fight. It is this double life steal build from the Big Dog, and look at him just sustaining through the fight, full HP. There's no real healer on the side of Rage Pingers. Anna Marie, of course, has the fountain, but one shot comes down from the blank, and that will be another ace for the Rage Pingers. You know, it's hard to get super excited over these fights, but I'm getting pretty excited over the builds more than anything here for court. You know, the double lifesteal build from Vox, perhaps maybe not the greatest of damage output, but when you're very far ahead, maybe provides a bit of sustain through the fight that actually there's no way they can get back into it.
Well, King Reese, in theory, if you look at this comp, King Reese needs to be sticking in the back on top of Big Dog. So what does Big Dog chose to respond with? Well, double lifesteal. And the double lifesteal will actually go a long way to curbing down her self-healing as well. You know, in theory. I just don't think it's going to matter this game, to be honest.
Doesn't look like it, as they kind of just push everyone out of the jungle. That's an aftershock as well here for the blank. Maybe these guys are just experimenting with builds more than anything, but Big Dog under the turret, just turret diving and sustaining the damage as well as it happens. Fountain comes out at the end, but really, did the Big Dog need it? Okay, maybe perhaps he did. That's going to be another kill. A couple kills going on over this Rage Pingers squad, just kind of playing with their food a little bit here for court as they accumulate almost a 10,000 gold lead at 10 minutes.
Right, so theory aside, early game has now transitioned to the mid. It has paid off as expected. You're now looking at 10,000 gold or so between teams and 12 kills to 2. The bigger thing is, again, like, Y-Fighters getting real desperate for those fights. The last, well, every team fight, I guess, they've been at a level disadvantage. They're still at a level disadvantage, but the last team fight was finally level 6 for 2 of their team members, and it still didn't help. Like, that's how far behind they are now. Blank is level 10 as a quick example. King Reese just, you know, edging past 6. Curdy B in the lane just hit 8.
Now Y-Fighters put out once more, as that's going to be falling down. Yeah, look at the CS differences between the blank and King Reese. It's actually disgusting. 70 CS from a jungler, that is just almost unheard of in a match. But
King Reese is 11, man. That's also equally unheard of.
Yeah.
1 CS a minute. That's like about average what we're going to be hitting here soon.
Oh man, it is right now. The Rage Pingers have found Y-Fighters, you know, in their Lego box. A nice little piece of you know, art or whatever you want to call Lego. I don't know. In America, you call it Legos, right? In UK, we call it just Lego. And
What?
you know, they're
It's just called Lego. The pro of Lego is Lego.
No, everyone in like America knows Legos. Maybe Twitch chat can flame me on this, but
I don't play with Legos, man. I play with Lego.
Right now
Lego Batman, not Legos Batman.
I don't know, man. I've heard some people call it the Legos movie.
Well, smack them for me.
Well, that's what the Rage Ringers are doing. They've made a nice little like model of the Y Fighters, and then they just kind of threw it. Well, they didn't throw it because that would be rude. Right now, they're just dismantling it piece by piece by piece by piece, very methodically. Which I don't know. For whatever reason, the Rage Ringers find fun. Currently, the Y Fighters are trying to get some jump and Scorpion goes down, but it's not going to save anyone. King Reese trying to fight in this, but he goes down. That's going to be Jeremy. A double kill for the blank, and that's going to be the ace coming through, as well as Rage Ringers find another 3 kills. 18-2 at 11.5 minutes, and it looks like they might just be pushing into the base now to try and put Y Fighters out of their misery.
Yeah, with the base buff minions that I thought were going to be there, either that or my display is just really out to lunch. It should just be about game. Like 12 minutes in, I don't really think we can offer too much resistance. Every time Rona jumps in, her body hits the floor. Like it's almost dead on impact.
Kind of like, why fight, Y Fighters?
Dead on impact.
Okay.
It's day one. It's day one, guys. Like this is it. Sometimes you have great games, and sometimes it's just people dipping their toes in the water, seeing what competitive's like.
But actually, you know, this is probably an appropriate time to pull you back in, Dragonborn, as the Vein Crystal has been exploded. Rage Pingers, they showed respect towards, well, some form of respect towards the Y Fighters. They didn't, you know, get too cocky with their team fights. They played it very methodically. They played Vainglory how it's meant to be played, and they looked fairly strong up against an uneven opponent.
Microphone.
Yeah, wow. Hey guys, definitely a pretty strong one-sided game as we get back into the roll of things here this split. I mean, you know, like you guys were saying, this is the first round. You're gonna have a lot of pretty strong teams on the top end trying to show their stuff, maybe trying out some new builds. Definitely interested about that. Like the Kestrel build, unique, but I think that, you know, in seriousness, I think the Blank maybe just Mendeling was something that he knows will work, but not maybe the optimal build for a Kestrel.
No, and perhaps not the optimal build for a Vox either. I do think that we will start seeing the Serpent's Mask build creep in with some Breaking Point, maybe Tornado Trigger as well, or Sorrow Blade. I'm not entirely sure of the exact details when it comes to it, but we'll have to see, because you know, for the Rage Pingers, that was just another Tuesday night for them.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, we're moving along very quickly. Game 1 already done. I mean, that was a quick 12-minute match, and it's likely that we'll see a couple more of those before the night's over. But we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into game number 2 between Rage Pingers and Y Fighters.
Only $14.99.
miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
We're back, everybody. Getting ready for this exciting game number 2. Rage Pingers, though, clearly looking like the team that we expect them. Number 5 seed coming in and matching up quite nicely to a 60 seed. No issues really there to speak of as far as like how they played. I think we kind of expect this to be par for the course. But what we will be doing, the best we can, is updating you across the entire bracket. So the format for today, of course, is best of 3s, double elimination. We'll be doing 2 rounds of winners, and actually after this match, if this is going to be a 2-0, we will be getting over to the second round of winners, which I think these matches will start to even up just a little bit here tonight, and then end up the night with a much closer seed. I think it'll be like a 12 seed NRG versus a 20-some seed team, depending on how the outcome of those matches go. So things should get a little bit tighter, a little bit closer as the night goes on, everybody.
Yeah, and that's how these things shake out. Like first rounds are either no-shows, forfeits, or just sometimes straight up stomps. And you just got to get through it. And we can't not do the first round of games because that's not really fair to really anybody there.
Yeah, it's just the nature of it. I mean, there's a lot of exciting matches going up, so of course we'll keep you guys updated. Again, you got 32 teams playing right now, all at the same time, and so as those updates come through, we'll make sure we let you guys know. But without too much longer to wait, I think we're ready for the game number 2 here between Rage Pingers. Now, Rage Pingers it's a fascinating story, and I do want to highlight on this a little bit, forecourt, because they made number 4. They almost made it. They were a much lower seed than some of the other teams they were going up against. They made it to playoffs, made it all the way to the 4th place match up against One Piece 101, and took them to 3 games. I mean, they really pushed One Piece 101, the ultimate winner of last split, to the limits. This is really a team that has a chance to compete all the way to the top.
And they've been into the top before. We've had Rage Pingers in the Evil 8 last year. Humanist, I still think, is the only person to actually have a jersey of them, at least amongst the casters. Like they are a team that can make it happen. I remember meeting Big Dog. I remember meeting Alex, and I think Tacos. Tacos is something. Maybe I just want tacos. I don't know, but like this is a brand that can make it happen.
Right. Well, making it happen is what we're going to find out right now as we get into their game number 2 here. And looks like the draft's moving quickly, so let's get right into it, forecourt.
This is exactly what we expect from a draft. Dargio, Lyra, Ben, that. And actually, Lens is a pretty strong captain pick, but well, that's if it does go the captain position.
Yeah, he can flex. Sure.
Fortress probably would be a priority majority of the time.
Well, Fortress worked out really well last round, right? But at the same time, like it was draft, counter draft, and then from there counter draft. And Rage Pingers, as you saw, I mean that early game comp just kind of went right through it. So we'll have to see if you can do it again, because we're just setting up more or less the same. It's a Ringo instead of a Vox for the Rage Pingers this time, but Vox, Gwen, laning caster. We've seen Weapon Sky here in 2.3 as well. Like there's definitely a lot of choice still available to these guys. It really depends on where Lance goes.
Right, and currently on King Reese it could go anywhere. With the Celeste pick coming in, then a weapon power jungler would be necessary, so we'll have to see if they go for a pick here for a captain, or it's going to be the Lance heading into the jungle, looking like it might be a Glaive or Catherine Roma coming out here for the White Fighters, but again could be flex. Not entirely sure which one is which just yet.
I'm betting we're going to see a little bit more of a weapon glaive, to be honest. That's just what I'm feeling. I'm not entirely sure if that's what's going to be up on our sleeve here, but Koshka to come through. I mentioned Koshka in the last game as a great combo for early game domination with the Fortress. He just sets up very nicely. You get the percentage damage pop. He gives you the movement speed, and she's a very mobile hero by herself. So again, early aggression stuff is what I would expect to see here out of Rage Pingers.
Okay, yeah. So I think for the Rage Fingers, they're just going to do what they did in the previous game. The Koshka, right, as you said, early game power. They've got this Ringo on the blank. We're just going to see exactly what kind of build he goes for. Currently just trolling us, building some infusions. If you don't know, you can actually buy an infuse and sell it, and you'll get the $500 back. Same with potions as well, I believe. So
It'd be funny if there's a hotfix today that like fixed that.
right. That would be disastrous. A level 1 infuse from the blank because he didn't read patch notes. Whoopsie-days.
Yeah, whoops. Oh well. So it is King Reese on this glaive, so will it be a weapon glaive? That's the big thing. So with a little bit more of the changes to how... I just saw White Fighters Jeremy go for the Impale and miss. I'm sorry, it just took my breath away.
I don't know if we had that on stream, but
I don't know if you had it either, but I was just centered on Jeremy, and well, there goes the Celeste, because I'm already on tilt.
Yeah, no, I saw it as well, and I also stopped.
Sorry,
First
guys.
Blood, it's hard. I don't want to be mean because this is like the most unfair matchup. But like as far as tournament system is concerned, it's like 100% fair. The highest placed seeded team should go up against the lowest seeded teams. That's how tournaments work. Jeremy's in trouble here as Big Dog looks for a kill onto him. Gonna just use his passive to charge on in and give it over to Blank. Nice stuff by the Rage Fingers, nice and smooth. They get 2 kills early on. And this is kind of what we expect anyway.
Okay, so let's get a little bit more back on track. Curdy B getting just ganged up on in lane, goes down, opens up the jungle for the invade, which is exactly what Big Dog and Anna Marie are doing. And now all of a sudden, like there was already a level lead accrued. They use that level 2 up against the level 1s of the White Fighters, and now just living out here in the jungle. We're gonna see if 3 coming down can make something happen.
Yeah, Big Dog is looking to charge away. Anna Marie being focused down by Cody B. Big Dog going to run straight back into Jeremy, though, and use the passive to escape as well. How fast is Kitty Cat is nice stuff as the Rage Fingers regroup. All this time, the Blank just taking farms away as the Rage Fingers almost playing a little bit like, come catch me, can't catch me, I'm made out of gingerbread, says the Big Dog. However, they are catching. They are looking for a kill. The Blank going to get involved. Going to start auto-attacking down this glaive and impale straight onto the Blank. Anna Marie able to pounce away. The Y Fighters are being pushed back by one man. Ringo and his twirling Silver Magnum is doing work. 6 shots. Did I 5? 4 or 5? You feel lucky, punk. Kill goes over forecourt onto King Reese, unfortunately.
I feel like we just kind of lost you into the sound of your own voice there.
It got an insight to my mind. It's a scary place. Do not attempt to enter.
So once again, it's just early game execution. It's just like, it reminds me a lot of Liberation X. I mean, we saw some really cool Liberation X games last split where they were in Challenger. Now, of course, they're going to be there in the VG8. But early game execution can really snowball you nicely. The key on it is to just keep up the pressure. It's like once you get this lead, 5,000 gold or so, I mean, Koshka's going to have problems unless she can just make sure that they're still that far ahead of their opponents. Anna Marie is a great early game captain, but by the end of it, right, she does lack a lot of the defensive options that you would normally like to see, like on a Dagio or Lyra or a Finn. So as long as Rage Pingers can keep up the pressure and just continue to accrue their gold lead again and again and again, just like this, then they're not going to fall off.
This is a tension bow on the Blank, by the way, first item on the Ringo.
Yeah,
just for the fun. Just for the fun of it. I think there's kind of like a deal going between the Big Dog and the Blank who can do the most ridiculous kills and get the most kills with it. Tension bow and Ringo is definitely not something we will see at all, I think, during 2.3. So I guess have fun, guys, watching this one.
That's going to be an infusion here from Big Dog at the 4-minute mark. No problem. Just going to try to do a nice 1v2 here in the jungle.
Another kill going over. Cody B now in trouble. There's the double. The Blank just stacking them up right now, taking them away. 5-0 has 5 of the 6 kills, but not 100% kill participation, so kind of letting himself down there.
Well, they get no awards from me then.
Yeah, exactly. There's actually no one on Rage Pingers have 100% kill participation.
Not VG8 material.
Not VG8 material, no. unfortunately. And actually, you know, whilst we're on that topic, the level of quality of the VG8 has just substantially increased this season, and it's going to be really hard for any, I think, of the challenge battle teams of Split 2 to actually combat their way in based on the talent we currently have.
Well, yes and no. Like the very beginning of everything, right? We had high hopes for everyone, but by the time it came down, it really was just a few diamonds in the rough that shone through. Like TSM, for example, started off really strong early, and by the end of it, they actually started losing their weeks, but they still secured first. And anybody that has to go up against them, well, I'm going to agree with you on that one.
Double kill.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a kill going on over, but a triple kill for the blank. Nice turret aggro swapping. Almost a clean affair, but unfortunately they did give one kill over the Big Dog currently feeding on the side of Rage Pingers. That's going to be a turret going down here. Let's see where the builds are going. Anything else more ridiculous? Going to have probably a breaking point next for the blank. Actually, the Big Dog hasn't completed an item yet either, so just kind of got tier 2. The blank in a bit of trouble, but going to start turning on the fire. Crystal Sentry gets involved. MVP shutdown comes through for Curty B, and Rage Fingers maybe having a little bit too much fun.
Yeah, just a bit too far forward. So to resume the train of thought, though, like TSM, Cloud9, really high up there, right? Like those are kind of the best of the best that we got right there. Gangstars, top 3 every week. Those are some of the highest of the quality that we have here in NA. But when it comes to more of the middle of the pack, I think that the challengers can really give those guys a big run for their money. Like they are going to be coming in on the bottom 3 spots, but Echo Fox, unfortunately, right, 0 points. They might have actually extended their series a good bit to try to fight to keep their spot, but they are down here into the challenger, right? So that's. If you get 1 point, you're automatically kind of doing better than the bottom of the barrel. So these new talents coming in up against the mid tiers, I think those are going to be some of the more interesting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Maybe the Rage Pingers fighting for one of those spots in the future. Certainly would want to be. We'll have to follow their progress, of course, during this Challenger Series Split 2. Here's a fight as they look to try and protect their choke point turret. Collapse will land. Yummy Happy Frenzy locks down King Reese, and the Big Dog going on to Curtis B as well. Just try and lay down the harasses. Jeremy will fall. That's 2-0. Big Dog does get away at this 7.5 minute mark, don't forget, as they're looking to take down the Vein Crystal turrets. You don't get to say that very often. Curdy B will be looking like he goes down. The blank able to find a kill as the first Vein Crystal turret taken down at 740. Blank just doing the work to the other one. Rage Fingers have to be a little bit careful here. They don't have a minion wave, and actually their health bars are the best. The Blank going for a recall, won't get it. Rooted up, will lose his life most likely to this. Gets a kill though, so 1 for 1 at the very least. And it looks like the rest of the guys are going to fall back and not go for that 8-minute victory.
The fastest win I think I've ever seen at a high level is 8 minutes.
That was Hammers versus Rogue, I think.
Well, I'm talking actually about like Evil 8 days.
Oh, okay.
It was something like 8-11, and it was a Saw push comp. These are the days where Saw got picked.
Hey man, we had a Saw in Vainglory 8 only just the other week.
One game out of 77 does not mean he gets picked.
Okay.
That means that somebody had a very bad idea that day.
Hey man, they won.
Stand by my statement, though. But no, if we had won this game sub 9 minutes, then Rage Pinger's basically just hitting every single stride that they can in this game, and I'm just not entirely too sure that they're done yet. Like they've been building into their items. You're looking at a mostly red blank. Big Dog there's looking for his 3rd item at the 9-minute mark sometime down the line. It's just overwhelming how different these two teams are.
Right, and 5th seed versus 16th seed. It is meant to be this way as they take the golden liner at 9:30. Just a decent gold payout, but you look at the gold, it's 10,000 at 9 minutes, so it's pretty huge to say the least. Just getting confirmation. It was Hammers versus Rogue in the 3rd place matchup. I think that was a very short game as well. They had a Kestrel and a much ability to push. There's a kill going on over. Yummy Captain Frenzy onto Jeremy. Tries to combat roll to safety, but to no affair. Currently King Reach just farming up his jungle as it all happens. This will be GG. The Rage Pingers progress. And thankfully for the Wide Fighters, they're not out of the tournament just yet. They do fall down into our losers bracket, where they get to have a second attempt at trying to find a win.
All right, so 15-3. The other game was I'm trying to remember the score, like 12-2, something in order like that. It's just early game execution comps. Rage Pingers really just playing around the draft very nicely, picking up exactly what they want to execute. They do it, and they do it well. So we will see who they go up against here in round 2, because of course we have 32 other teams out and about playing, looking to see what they can drag into their nets. So Dragon, any idea what we got up next?
Yeah, man, I mean, that was a quick one, and we're actually getting ready for the next series. It looks like we're going to be going to Echo Fox versus the winner of one of the other series. It's going to be actually Underworld GG versus Cynical. Once we get the update on that, actually, they're just about ready to finish up, and then we'll be able to get into that stream. So we're really excited. This is going to be the first time we're going to be able to feature Echo Fox down here in the Challengers. And it's bound to be a pretty exciting lineup. They're sticking pretty much with what they've had over the past couple of weeks. We see no changes to the roster. So, you know, for everyone coming in, maybe wondering if there's going to be some changes. So far, Echo Fox is the same Echo Fox that we saw in challenge battles, that we saw all throughout Vainglory 8. But for sure, at least in this first week, I don't think there's any doubt that they're going to look very confident.
Well, especially day one. Like day one, big name, right? They have big money behind them. It's a big organization, and they have that competitive experience. That's a big advantage over a lot of the teams that are entering. Because again, like it gives Wide Fighters feels like a team that said, "Hey, there's a tournament. We love this game. Let's try it out." They just had the unfortunate bad luck to face up against somebody who's really gunning and has been polishing up their skills for a long, long time. So there's a really good chance that Echo Fox is going to look fantastic today.
Absolutely, yeah, and they definitely are coming into this very seriously. I've talked to Fuji, I've talked to the team. You know, they're taking this Challenger series, this Challenger tournament, about as serious as anybody out there. So we're going to be excited to get to that. We are going to take a short break, everybody, as we get ready for the next series. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more games in a second.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
Hey everybody, we are back getting ready for our second matchup today, and it's going to be Echo Fox going up against whoever's the winner of Underworld GG versus, I believe it's going to be, Cynical ES, the winner of that matchup. They're actually in a match. They are about 12-minute mark, so it could be halfway for all we know. We're going to give you guys updates here as we go along. Of course, we've got a few updates as we take a look at the bracket so far. NRG, not surprising, they did win their match. They're going to be going up and facing the winners of Best Anime Girls, a 21 seed versus Ion. Yeah,
Sorry. It's a great name.
It really is, and you know what? That's actually that's gonna be our last matchup today, guys. So let's take a little bit of time and talk about that before we get to the Echo Fox team and kind of what's going on there. Is Best Anime Girls actually made it pretty far in the last splits tournament. They made it. They ended up getting dropped down to loser bracket pretty early, but made it really far in the loser bracket, doing really well. So that actually is a team that might give NRG a little bit of a headache. NRG from last season definitely had some struggles. There were some ups and downs. So when you look at them as a whole as a team, they did make some additions. Now, Gaspy changed his name to Believe. So when you guys see Believe, that is Gaspy for everyone listening. And they did pick up another new player here. I'm actually taking a look at that roster change right now. Yeah, they picked up Pima. I do apologize if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Pema, it could be pronounced that way as well. So he's joined the group, the Hardek, Chombo, and Believe group. So I guess the question for Court is, do you believe NRG's got what it takes to split?
Yes and no. I mean, I still have a lot of confidence in the Gaspy Hardek combo, but I just almost feel like this patch has, well, I guess 2.2 just didn't treat them very well in terms of a lot of power picks. I mean, Hardek, for example, like Scarf, Sky, these were not very big picks of his, and I know that he's had that in his wheelhouse for a long time. Other picks, though, definitely played into their strengths, but it just didn't feel like they were able to utilize them well. So depends on how 2.3 is going to be treating them, but if I was picked up by a big organization like that and I failed to get into the top 3, I'd be a little sweating about my contract renewal.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that, I'm sure they're aware of. I'm sure they're working on it. And granted, the season's 2 splits, right? You got a whole season to come together and start building something. We've seen a lot of these teams play and have ups and downs and really make it surprising. We saw even One Piece 101, right? They had a lot of issues last split that almost cost them this entire tournament, and yet they found a way to put it all together. I think NRG, if they just sit down and focus, I think they have a good shot. Dalcy, you watch a lot of these games. You got a chance to talk a little bit to them as well, I believe. What are some of your thoughts about NRG? That's going to be our last matchup tonight, so I was curious to get some of those thoughts now.
I think that it's easy to sit on the outside and criticize and say and like the forecourt's comment about the contract renewal. I think that is a thing, but at the same time, I happen to know that the contract lengths are going up and up, so teams are contracting their players for longer and longer at a time. So there's, I guess, the issue of maybe for some of these guys, depending on how the contracts work, maybe warming benches as new talent comes forward. But for the same time, it's one of these things that like teams want to improve. They want to stick together. Team managements believe in their players more than anything, and they will look to do stuff. The story of Echo Fox and their current roster right now is that they formed under MDC, didn't they? Mixi, Kolomeek, and Lone Delphi, and the chances of those guys actually being broken up is very hard. They want to play with each other. They don't want to play with other people. If you were to try and replace one of them, then there's that issue of, well, these guys are almost like a band of brothers. So how do you replace one of them without actually gaining their trust first? And perhaps that's what Fuji's doing with the way he kind of is substituting himself into the roster. He's played with them for quite some time. He has their respect as it is. So I think there's some interesting things going around that roster. And I think this ability to play in the Challenger Series for them again is actually really good. It's going to be fairly healthy, I think, to their progress, to patching up some of their issues, and then giving it a real good shot of getting into the summer season.
Absolutely. And, that's going to be our next series, actually. It is Echo Fox. We've got them already ready in queue, waiting for another team to play. And that's a good point. Fuji comes in and makes the first substitution to that roster all season long. And, they went 18 games in a row with a loss. I mean, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking for the team. And, they felt it and they really understood. And he came in. Now, they made only one change. They substituted Lone Delphi with Fuji. So, Mixi still played and Kolomik still played, and they won some games. So clearly the pieces are there. The right pieces are there. They can win games. A lot of it may have to do with how they're playing the games, right? I don't think mechanically or skill-wise any of those players are subpar. I think maybe together there isn't the quite combination of leadership they need to make those final pushes in the win. Forecourt, you saw it as well, like when you watch Vainglory 8 games, that there were moments where they were really looking strong, but then something was missing, a decision wasn't quite right, and then it would all fall apart.
That's just unfortunately the level of play, or at least in the current version of the game, is you can do just extremely well all the way into a one team fight, and then if you can't recover from that, it's just done. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but it's a knife's edge. That's how intense the competition is at the VG8 level. Like if you can't play flawlessly, there's a good chance that you just can't recover sometimes. And then conversely, if you catch your opponent, sometimes you can then snowball and win the game just straight from there. And I know that Dowsy really wasn't here, so I'm just going to play a little bit more devil's advocate from there. But last year we had the same kind of competition, the same players, different teams, different combinations, but there was such roster swapping going on season after season after season. Almost one season, I think we had 6 teams reform. Like that's kind of what we're used to now. If you've been in the Vainglory esports for a while, it's just almost like team hopping. It's not quite team hopping, it's just getting together with friends. But now that the big orgs are in here, I don't know if that mentality will change or not. Like I talked about the contracts, that's fine, but I'm sure that the season is already taken care of contract-wise. But after the season is typically in the past where we've seen huge mix-ups.
I think it's a little bit more difficult, at least for Vainglory 8, the new rule set around roster changes means that it's much more difficult to change your rosters. I guess during a season, after a season, of course, that's when things become a little bit easier on the teams.
And that's where it goes free for all almost.
Yeah, but at the same time, just with some behind the scenes info, like teams are signing much longer, players are signing much longer contracts now. So there's always out clauses. Like it's not like any player is actually going to be stuck for life, but it does mean that organizations are taking their welfare and their playership a little bit more seriously. A great org will always want what's best for the player, especially because like these guys, especially players that like live in gaming houses, like they know their managers, they know their coaches, they're like they're great friends, so no one wants bad blood on each other. But
of course not.
At the same time, you're starting to see players stick to organizations, which is great. TSM, for example, one of the longest standing North American rosters, have proven that they can join a roster and actually just dominate competition.
Like a roadmap.
Exactly,
like this
right?
Is the keys to success right here, are the consistency. And to Dowsy's point, Forecourt, I think what I was most impressed with this start of the split here in Split 2 is how many teams stayed together. Rage Pingers made almost no changes since when they lost their last game, just adding a new substitute. NRG's kept most of the same players. We haven't seen any changes to Echo Fox yet, so there really is this sense of desire. Maybe if it doesn't last, and maybe if eventually it all just breaks loose, but at least for right now between splits, a real adamant desire for some of these teams to stick together.
And again, I'm not here to rag on them. I'm not here to criticize them. I'm not a pro player. I don't play pro league at all, right? So this is just purely observational from my experience on Vainglory and other esports and just the way everything has worked in the past. But I would be very surprised after the Western Unified Championships if there was 0 changes. Like they might be signing these longer contracts, but that doesn't mean anything to me, does it?
You're right, and this is a conversation I've had with people, is that a contract doesn't mean a player will stay on a team. But you're 100% correct on that point. I think it's going to be very interesting. The changes we actually get to see in Split 2, I believe teams are being allowed to add players to their roster, but not actually take players off their roster for Split 2. So there are going to be some roster swaps very soon, I think, coming into the VG8. And it'll be interesting to see if starting rosters change based on that as well.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
also
actually
curious. Oh, sorry, Dragon.
No, I was gonna say it's a good point, Dalsey, actually. So one of the changes to the rules, it was actually a clarification of the rules. There was a lot of discussion about roster changing in Split 1, and SCMC really wants this to be a breeding ground for these teams. They want super teams to form, so roster swapping is something that's being encouraged now. The changing of guard, to be able to go from one team to another quickly and easily. The Challengers really is starting to become that area where these teams can breed, but like, to your point, there needs to be some also consistency with these teams. Otherwise, that these really good players coming onto a team may not mesh well together.
Every other game that I've ever covered has almost you got your ladder solo queue all stars, then you go into something like a collegiate or amateur scene, and then into the pros. So you do need a stepping stone league, and I think Challengers is a great place to breed that and find what you want. But just another point to this one is when TSM formed, right? It was Flash X. It wasn't even Flash X, Von C, and Best Chuck, right? There were still changes when TSM finally invested, but at the same time, like Von C was a wild horse that Flash X kind of had this surmountable task of trying to tame. And I feel that through a lot of their work, putting those players together and eventually them working through it has paid off fantastically for them. So it's not always just going to be about like, hey, I want to play with my friend on this pro team. Sometimes you find unexpected combos that just blow you out of the water.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point, Forecourt.
No, I'm with you as well. Like I've had the pleasure this week of spending a lot of time talking to players in the VG8. I've been looking to try and build up the Vainglory Esports wiki. For those who don't know, it's a great little resource.
Great work.
It needs a lot. No, it needs a lot of work. And I guess I wanted to try and get players that weren't listed on it onto it as soon as possible, so that people can find out who they are. And I guess as a newer caster to the scene, like I've casted many other esports scenes, and I've casted some of them to a high enough level to kind of understand what makes teams work. But to see like SK, for example, they've had Raph on their roster and Jetpacks right from the beginning, right from the moment SK acquired Red. So like it is good to see. I think this is a huge testament to an organization to be able to keep a player that long, and a player of high caliber. And when you can start building teams around those players, I think that's when stuff starts to shine. You said it about TSM. Flash X had to break in Von C, this kind of wild horse of the roster, but actually now Von C is one of the most feared junglers in the world. So really is one of those carry forces for his team. So I'm really excited to see kind of with these new changes to the way it works, no longer as much of a Wild West allowed in the highest tier of play. It does mean that the Challenger Series, as you've mentioned, Dragonborn does become a breeding ground, which I think is very healthy. And it is very exciting to see that actually Challenger Series teams are sticking together as well, because they believe in the team. And that's a huge fundamental mentality that you need to overcome.
Believe in the heart of the cards, yo. No,
Yeah,
just gonna leave that there. All right, cool.
I'm gonna leave it. I was just checking that we get an update actually from actually it looks like we have a game 3 for the team, so we're actually gonna jump down to another first round to watch this game 3 here. Let me just get a quick update here.
Of course, the team that we need for our very fast game 1 series has a very long game series for game 2.
Exactly. So, well, what that means is that they're actually ready for game 3. We're going to jump down to that. We're actually going to go, it's Underworld GG versus Cynical ES, and that's actually a 31 seed versus, a 32 versus a 33. That's a really close matchup. They're at game 3, so we'll put a little bit of a pause on the Echo Fox matchup. We're going to be into that. It's probably about 20 minutes, so it shouldn't be too much longer. But yeah, I think we're going to jump down to this right now.
Here I am enjoying our conversation about the what ifs and the what could be's.
And as much as I'd love to keep having it, I'm really anxious for a game here. I think everybody is watching is also anxious.
But you're so handsome. Everybody says so in chit chat.
I don't know about that, but I do know that I'm here passionate about Vainglory, and I would get pretty annoyed if I couldn't watch it. You guys want to see it? Make sure you guys let us know in the chat. We'll have our mods in there keeping an eye on stuff and taking your feedback when we can. But yeah, so we're gonna jump down. It's gonna be Underworld GG versus Cynical ES. Cynical ES, a 32 seed versus a 33 seed here on Underworld GG. And kind of excitingly, they're at game 3. This could go either way, guys.
Have we seen Cynical ES before? The name is like tickling
pretty familiar.
something in my memory. Who are the players on it?
So I honestly, none of them look familiar.
All right,
but I could be wrong here.
Yeah, we'll find out, I guess. Do we want to just jump into it, or we want to take a break to get it all set up?
You know what? Let's take a quick break, everybody, and we will. When we come back, we're gonna be able to get you guys right into this game. So yeah, we'll be right back in a bit.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
Devil's advocate.
Yeah. It's really, really good. That's
right.
what I do. But
hey guys, we're back, and
hello.
Hey everybody, we're getting ready for this next series, and we want to talk a little bit about it. So let's get the matchup graphic up, and let's start talking about what we have in store for you guys. Cynical ES, a 32 seed going up against Underworld GG. So we're moving to one of those middle of the pack games, and unlike what we just witnessed here with Ragepinger stomping their competition, this is an even one series apiece matchup, guys.
Well, if they're into a game 3, and yeah, we had some really fast games there from Ragepingers, 10 minutes and 12 minutes or so. But at the same time, if you're into a game 3 in your first round, then you found yourself a really solid opponent.
Yeah, absolutely.
It means that the competition should be fairly fierce. I'm hoping that we get a pretty entertaining matchup as well, as you said. These seeds neck and neck as far as seeding is concerned. So, and for those interested, the way the Challenger Series is seeded, to my understanding, you can correct me, Dragonborn, is actually purely an algorithm which takes in-game skill level, kind of gets an average across the team and then seeds all the teams based on how far they get up. Apart from the VG8 teams dropping into the league, they get seeded first, second, and third.
That is true about the VGA teams. I don't know the detail of the algorithm they use. I don't know which exact numbers they do, but it is extremely unbiased with almost very little human altering, right? There's nobody saying, you know what, I think this seed needs to go above this seed. It is an algorithm, and it is pulling in data, and a lot of that has to be weighted towards ELO, personal ELO and team ELO. And so what that means is it's very much simplistically, hey, this is how well you did this season. This is what you This is a representation of the work you put in, the grinding you put in to get your personal elo, how much you've played together as a team. We actually, we've talked to a lot of these teams who actually asked us initially in the start of Split 2, hey, why am I seeded this way? We're like, well, these are the factors. Keep these in mind. And seeding does matter. Folks, if you're out there, if you're a team, it does matter. Grinding can get you a better seed, which can improve your chances to get farther and farther in the tournament and play against probably more evenly matched matchups here. If you don't want to be the bottom of the pack, but that's a true statement, Dalsy. And what we're seeing here is these two teams, probably could be pretty evenly seeded as well. A lot of people talk about the elo system maybe not being fair, but then when used to put head-to-heads, true head-to-head teams together, it seems to work out pretty good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, this is the kind of matchup that you would expect in a team's ranked queue. Like, essentially 33 versus 32 means that if these guys were queuing up as a 3 in teams, building up their team elo in ranked, then this is most likely a matchup you would get. And these guys have been practicing, so this is quite exciting because it should be fairly back and forth.
Absolutely.
Woo, I thought we saw a game there for a moment.
It did flash. You're not going crazy, Forecourt. Here we go. Is this going to be draft? No, it's a black screen for all. Okay, so
it's a black screen for me too.
Rip, we broke it. So close, guys.
I guess we need a quick break, Dragonborn, to no.
Yeah, it looks like we made. I don't think we need a break. I think it should, as soon as someone doesn't select, because they're not going to be able to see. It should, revert us back or kick us out. But yeah, that's interesting.
That doesn't happen that often.
No, it doesn't. I think we just need a quick reset of whoever's hosting the game to get us back into the main screen there. Yeah. So don't worry, the viewers didn't see that, so it's actually just us witnessing that. The viewers see the lovely graphic of who's playing. There's definitely not a lot of players that I think people recognize maybe right off the bat, but these players have been playing. They're all Vainglorious players for the most part, or high POA.
I'm actually back in the draft. I reset my app and I'm here again.
Yeah, you know what?
Maybe it's just the specs. Oh, nope, I'm out.
They did dodge in the end.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, probably some people didn't have it, so I guess I gotta wait for the re-invite. There we go.
Yeah, let's get that going, and we'll finally get a game, guys. That's what you're here for, right?
Not to count up to 100 in Twitch chat, which is pretty impressive. I do like it when I see it during
when they do it right.
When they do it right, it's very impressive. The Twitch chat hive mind coming together to defeat the evil casters and their podcast between games.
What's that copy pasta that Starting made? Just like to defeat all the evil casters of VG8 or something like that.
I don't think I've seen that one, but
yeah, somebody will post it for us.
I'm sure it will be posted now. So I'm looking.
It was actually really clever, except that they called us evil, and I just felt sad.
Well, we are
like,
evil.
Oh.
We do stuff for Super Evil Megacorp. So
it doesn't mean we're evil.
It's not. It's not. It
does mean we're in the business for it, though.
Like
we're in the business of evil.
If you're a thug hired by a super mastermind evil guy, are you actually evil, or are you just getting paid?
That it's just a day job, right? But I don't know, man. It's like crossing the line, isn't it?
I don't know. Like Minions kind of dealt with that in the movie. It's like you could be a sidekick or a villain.
Kind of. So, anyways, we're getting ready for this matchup. We got it reset, guys. We're back in business. Nothing happened, so it's not like we're sitting here waiting for a game to happen that we couldn't get into. We're going to be getting into it right in a second here as everybody just gets restarted and back in business. But yeah, Underworld GG is an interesting team. They were actually, both these two teams were in the last split, and I can't remember how far they went. I know they made it a few brackets, a few rounds up into the loser bracket, as both of them ultimately did eventually get knocked down. But with that, guys, we're going to be able to find out exactly who they are, because we're going to be seeing it all live on stream in just a second.
Whoa. That's pretty exciting. I'm really looking forward to this matchup. As I said, it's a 32 versus a 33 here for court. Game 3 of this series about to get on our screens. It's the draft. Looks like it's
nope.
About to get underway.
No. We're just cursed, guys. We're just cursed. All it is. So tied into game 3, 1-1. I do believe I didn't actually. Yeah, they didn't actually say who actually won the first game and who won the second game. But
No, they didn't.
coming into
No, they didn't. You're right.
Okay.
Right,
Because if we
awesome.
knew that, we might be able to speculate a little bit more about mentality going for us. Like the reverse sweep could be absolutely real. There's a lot of adrenaline you can pull from that one. Or the team that won first, lost second. Are they going to be able to keep a strong mindset going into this one to correct mistakes and dominate like they did before?
Well, we just got where Underworld GG won game number 1, so they lost game number 2. So that means, kind of surprising their higher seed opponent by 1 seed. And now coming in here, even things out. So it looks like we are ready to go. Draft should be starting any second.
What an upset. 31 beaten by 32. Maybe. We'll see.
We'll see. All right, guys, let's get into it. Draft for game number 3. And game number 3s, they're always exciting. You never know what you're going to get. Both teams have lost one, feeling the pressure. Forecourt, what do we got so far?
Well, no Lance, no Fortress, and into a Lyra, but Adagio's still open, and if you want to fight heals with heals, then you should probably pick up the heals here, Dowsy.
We had a funny moment over in EU. Got to do with heals, but this time it's just going to be fairly standard things. The Lyra for one of the teams, the Adagio for the other. We'll have to see what they pair it with. It's going to be a carry Adagio, a captain Adagio. As you know, we get into this draft, 3 seconds left, and the Kestrel comes in. So nothing necessarily been revealed just yet.
All right, so Kestrel could be lane, could be the jungle. We've seen both. We've seen actually very successful both crystal and weapon today across both regions. But a Vox very likely into the lane here, as it will be Cynical ES now to figure out what kind of jungler they want. We've seen a lot of Glaive today. We've seen some Koshka now here as well. Can't do the Kestrel. Alpha is something we've seen some of, but did not really pan out across the region.
It's going to be fairly interesting because this isn't, the Rage Pingers. This is actually very 2 even teams. So the Kestrel needs to be getting ahead for Underworld GG here, or else that they might struggle in this matchup. A Glaive comes in as well, a fairly good counter to the Kestrel, and we're going to get a Sky as well for to round things out here on Underworld. Very, very interesting composition, one that wants to play from range.
So this begs the question, will it be more of a weapon Sky or more of a crystal Sky? Because whatever they go is going to be the flip for the Kestrel. I don't really think that we're going to be seeing like a double weapon or a double crystal out of this, but when it comes down to it, I would expect Sky to be in lane, but I'm not entirely too sure who's the jungler here for the team on Underworld GG.
It will become clear in a second. This is game 3 of this series between Cynical S and Underworld GG.
Okay. It's gonna be Ruby. Ruby's weapon laner.
Yeah, weapon laner. Weapon power Kestrel in the lane, and X heal looking like Elix heal. Sorry, going to be in the jungle with a CP Sky.
When I first saw it, I thought it was Exhale. I was like, what? But no, it's Elixil. Elixil? Elixil? Elixil?
Exhale's, busy trying to get into VG Gold right now, I hear. Twitch chat was letting me know.
Wait, you mean he's not VG Gold? Need to go remove him off my friends list.
According to the copy pastors, which are 100% correct.
100% of the time, yeah.
So we're getting into game here. It's a fairly interesting start, actually, from Underworld. They don't go for their backs. They're looking to play a little bit aggressively here. Not entirely sure what Elixir is looking to achieve from this. What he has achieved is, he's found Cynical S, and now he's going into his jungle. So maybe nothing gained, nothing necessarily lost.
I might be a little biased up against the Crystal Sky simply because she did not put up good numbers in the VGA. We did not see much of it there in Challenger, and the only Sky that actually won today in all the games that I've seen has been a weapon Sky. But there have been actually a few things kind of against a lot of the Skies. Fortress, for example, has become very popular. Petal by the end of... Your name is Dowser, by the way, on the.
Yeah, I know. I saw. It's hey guys, Dowser here.
But you throw things in front of a Crystal Sky.
Twitch chat,
Oh yeah, don't worry, we will. You throw things in front of the Crystal Sky, you block up a lot of damage, right? Fortress has definitely been there, Petal there as well. So we don't have any of that this game. So the Crystal Sky might make a comeback.
Yeah, no, it may make a comeback. We'll have to see how it performs really here against this competition. You know, with the ability to go in using the Arcane Passage from Pro Sergeant, the Glaive can get very close to either the Kestrel, to the Sky, and then use an Afterburn from fairly close, making things a little bit easier to hit, make sure they get knocked out of position. They're looking for a gank here. There's movement speed from the Imperial, and that's going to be Kestrel just knocked completely out. Ruby just farming the lane. First blood going to be going on over to Eddie. Cynical ES defending that first kill.
There you go. That's a really well executed one right there. I thought perhaps they were going to be looking for Malankar on that Adagio, since he was pushing forward looking for some of that harass, but no, they bided their time. They found the Kestrel, definitely a much bigger fish in their nets, and first blood, no problem. Okay, so Cynical ES, if they can do that a few more times, and I think that this early game Glaive pressure is going to pay off very nicely, especially with the fact that, you know, both Malankar and Ruby don't have any kind of displacements of their own, right? Ruby's not going to be able to active camo if he can't see it, and at the same time, Malankar does not have any kind of dashes or teleports or anything, right? So there could be a lot of potential there, especially with Pro Surgeon speeding up the Glaive like that to get into position.
Yeah, there's just so many abilities available for Cynical to all in exactly what a box want as well, to be able to get into the faces, jump around the fight. So I can really like this composition coming out of Cynical ES. I think it's fairly well rounded. Triple range on the side of Underworld GG. It's more of a kite composition, trying to lay down damage from afar. I guess Ruby on a weapon power Kestrel can't do as much murmur shots, but you can see them eating through Pro Sergeant as we speak. So it is definitely a threat still, maybe not as high as a CP Kestrel, but you know, there's Elixir with the pressure down as Cynical ES. They're going to rotate up into the lane. Here comes Eddie, but as we say that, is Sky going away. Ruby's in trouble, I think. Here's the Afterburn straight into the middle. Gonna get the kills onto Ruby, but can he escape? No, there's gonna be kills going on over to Eddie once more. And looking for a second, can he get a double? Maybe not a double, but it will be the 2 kills going on over to Cynical ES as Air Striker finds that one. Currently running into each other in the jungle. Alex Hill maybe the next target. Crystal Sentry though has just came to work looking for the 9 to 5 job, so going to be avoided for now.
Elixir's gonna have to make a trip back home because his first item and his only item has been achieved. 4.5 minutes, gets himself a prosper, no problem, but with no boots up against something like a Lyra Glaive, who could be looking for an invade, that's gonna be a little bit more dicey. So we'll have to see if any kind of aggression will pay off with that pickup, but until then, Eddie, back into his own jungle, is gonna be going into a little bit more of the Crystal utility Glaive. So after this crown that he already has, it's very likely going to be into the Aftershock, and then from there, you'd expect something like an Atlas, because his job is to get into the back and knock Ruby out of position, maybe even knock Exo out of position, but if you can deliver that Atlas on top of the Kestrel as well, that's a pretty big tool for the team.
Ruby's really feeling it right now. Just the pressure of these guys walking from one bush to the other, making pop the cushion preemptively, just in case somehow Eddie got an afterburn to knock the Kestrel into the lane. And actually, he's pushed up here thinking this is a moment to get some CS. Here comes Eddie to put the pressure down still. Active coming into play there. Eddie will be spotted out by the Adagio Flare. So I like the Glaive. I think the Glaive is really, really nice into Weapon Power Kestrel, into Kestrel in general, but Weapon Power Kestrel especially, as that's your sustained damage being lost if the Afterburn connects.
Now, there's a bit of a silver lining as Ruby gets more powerful with more weapon power coming into the fold. That active camo is going to get easier and easier to use. So in some of these, especially if you're really quick on your timers, really quick on your buttons, and you can predict when we're going to get one of those afterburns. If you hit the active camo in time, Eddie is just going to be kind of standing there with not really too much else to do except get stunned, and then that's a really big opportunity to counter that. That's really the silver lining coming into it, but you got to get out of the early game in order to get that kind of situation rolling.
And that's going to be the hardest time here, really, for Underworld, is getting past that early game, trying to get into a scenario where you are at a point where you're farming, you're fighting from range, you're controlling these fights with poke, and trying to, you know, cut down Eddie's HP bar, you know, health bar, as well as airstrikers before the fight really gets started. You're going to see some glimmer shots go out forward barrages as they're kind of setting up for this. They're almost at their level 6s, at least Ruby is. And this is kind of the shot here for Underworld. Can they play this poke composition?
Well, so far, other than just the 3 early kills, not really going for too much poke, but Cynical able to pick up a gold miner, yeah, pretty much for free right there. Nice knock there from Eddie just to make sure that Underworld GG was not going to be in range at all. But could this be a fight? It's a 2v2, sorta. We do got Kestrel showing up in lane, but level 6 means that she could technically contribute from there.
Yeah, and at level 6, the weapon power one-shot, one-kill actually will do probably the most damage that it's going to do throughout the game. And this is the time where that's going to have the most impact, is at this moment in the game. But, you know, we're talking about theory here. We're not necessarily talking about what is happening just yet. Underworld are moving up into the lane. Elixir does show themselves in the lane, but there's nothing really happening apart from, you know, gold being garnered here by Cynical ES, a 2,000 gold lead for them. And some important items picked up, Tornado Trigger and Sorrow Blade for Airstriker. We've got the Storm Crown, not quite there with the Aftershock yet, but this could be a chance for Cynical to go in, and that's what they want. Ruby knocked up against the wall, will be able to survive for now. Pro Sergeant taking a lot of damage from this poke composition from Underworld, but no kills to talk about.
No, just didn't have the positioning on that one. So as time goes on, the Kestrel's going to get more powerful. The Sky's going to get more powerful. Eddie, however, on this glaive is kind of gonna go a bit more sideways. Like, he's going to become more useful, but less deadly. Whereas everybody else is just going to be getting more and more deadly. I feel like, again, we should be putting on a little bit more pressure here from Cynical. I think with Eddie, basically, as soon as he gets that Aftershock, he's that full offensive build. Use these cooldowns. Look for a knock, get the speed up, just throw down the book, look for the knock up, and see what happens. But we're not quite doing that right now.
No, they're respecting the ability to be poked down, I guess, and not wanting to overstep their mark. You know, this is game 3, let us not forget. These guys have played 2 games already. They're already at that 1-1 scoreline. They're looking for a
there's no flare.
I like it, stack up. There's the forward barrage, but Ruby's in trouble. Afterburn, sorry, not going to connect in the double active camo, but Elixir has to run. Gonna get healed on up by the fountain from Malankar, and that's about it. Cynical not quite able to find the afterburn to kill anyone, but at the same time, Underworld able to lay down enough damage to dissuade the fight.
So you saw the active camo being really useful right there, right? Ruby not going to get hit by the afterburn. Very useful, gets the double stun on top of it. If Eddie had gone for Elixir, look at the difference in the items, right? Ruby with that weapon power, that defensive nature of the active camo comes up better and better as time goes on. But Elixir has virtually no defense. Like, if we had committed all 3 on top of that Sky, would have been 100% a dead Sky right there.
100%, 60% of the time, works 100% of the time, but I think you're probably right there, especially this time, considering the positioning of Elixir and the ability to separate them from Adagio. We're going to see another attempt at an afterburn, but it actually goes on to a minion. Eddie going to take a huge chunk of damage in return, and this is where the poke composition works so well. If you can dodge out the initial afterburn, then you can lay down so much damage onto Eddie, punish him for attempting to engage onto you, and if you find a kill, then that's a 3 versus 2 that you're bound to win.
A really nice combo, especially available right now for Cynical, is the knockback into a Bright Bulwark. And that combo might actually enable you to get a kill on top of Elixir, especially if you can follow that up with a Silence, right? Perfect world, you get the Afterburn into a Bright Bulwark. From there, Airstriker sets up with the wait for it, and Sky, who's a glass cannon at this point, will not have any reposition available to her. Like, that could be, you know, the thing to do for now, because again, it's going to be much harder to land it on top of Ruby more consistently, because that active camo just coming in again and again, plus the weapon power from Ruby. Like, she can start getting, you know, trading as good as she's getting. You're not gonna have the same, you know, retaliation level from Elixir.
Yeah, you know, I'm fully with you on that one. So, kind of picking Time Bomb, like I said, as well as Secret Blade going in once more. Finding engage, lots of damage put out. There's the Versa Judgment blocked up by Crucible. One shot doesn't connect onto anyone, and
There
Malankar
you
is going
go.
to lose his life too far forward. They weren't finding the damage from the poke. You can't hard commit to a fight unless everyone is, you know, under 20%. That's how poke competition works. It's all about patience, all about execution, and Underworld going to have to find some of that if they're going to make it work.
You can't hard commit if you don't fight. But you know that it looked like they went for it there. It really did look like they went for that combo because Eddie went for the afterburn. He didn't get the angle he wanted, but immediately Pro Surgeon threw down that bright bulwark. Like they know that this combo is available to them, and I'm really hoping to see it executed here because I just don't think that this mid game is set up from Underworld GG to deal with it.
Lex Hill in a bit of trouble. Bright Bulwark to stop the series strike coming in. Death from above doesn't connect, and Eddie Hill actually just gets out, but Lex Hill goes through as well. This fight is happening all across the Halcyon Fold, every which way, but in the end it is just going to be Eddie walking away saying, you know, this isn't my story, and it is still a 2,000 gold deficit, 4-0 in favor of Cynical ES. Everyone coming up into the lane, but Imperial Sigil means that everyone can just speed away from the action. Chance, I guess, for Underworld to lay down a bit of damage onto this turret. Their composition does have good sieging capability. We'll have to see what they do.
Yeah, especially with that Weapon Caster. Like, the Weapon Caster and Adagio by themselves, they have some pretty fantastic siege available to them. And Eddie, if he wants to break into that siege, does have to get right into melee range for him. But a big pickup did just happen. Cynical does have double Atlas now online. Going to be looking for an Aegis next on top of Eddie. But, you know, Pro Surgeon, he's got 3 defensives ready to roll. If neither of these Atlas hit Ruby, we're in trouble. But
Eddie hits his afterburn onto the turret. That's a mistake, and he's looking like he may lose his life. Pound to keep him alive. One shot not going to connect as Lex Hill goes in onto Pro Sergeant. Malankar in the middle of the fight and just loses his life once more. The Adagio trying to tank up in melee range just doesn't work, and it's another mistake from Malankar, like we saw earlier. Again, you don't like poke compositions aren't about like committing to fight. It's about just poking. That's literally all you do. You know, they were too desperate to try and find Eddie. What they could have done instead was put pressure on the turret as a 3. Now they're tempted to do so as a 2. Forward barrage is definitely doing work from Elixir Hill here. They probably should stick around and try and take the turret.
comes the glaive.
Here comes the glaive. Eddie, yeah, is going to find a favorable afterburn. It's frustrating to watch this game from Underworld GG because I like their team composition, I like the win conditions associated with it, but it's almost like the team doesn't understand the win conditions associated with it.
Well, Alex Hill might want to start thinking about investing into a reflex. It's a lot of blue in a tier 1 boots for that Sky, because we got the triple damage items. You know, 15 minutes, triple damage items. They're a bit behind the 8 ball in terms of gold, but that's pretty respectable. But this is almost, it reminds me of, you know, a triple red Baron, right? You really got to be very good on your positioning in order to make this build work. Otherwise, you're basically just chopped meat. And Alexo is sitting at 0, 0, and 0. So he hasn't died. His positioning has actually been pretty good. He has really been starting to return some of that damage. Like, we're no longer near the early game, but reflex can go a long way.
It's going to be Malankar being focused down. Burst Judgment full of fortified health.
Oh.
Just about gets away, and actually the damage coming out from Poke Comp. This is when you commit. Everyone's low. Go on in. Find the triple kill for yourself. Eddie trying to find one, but he's not going to get taken down. There's the double. There's the ace. They finally make the Poke work from range. Kite, Poke, engage when everyone's below 20 HP. Beautiful stuff. And the turret will go down. This is a huge swing. Kraken's just spawned. The gold is about to go in their favor. Underworld GG making it work.
It might only be 5-0, but like the bigger number was, it was 3,000 gold between the teams, right? Not that big a deal. Underworld GG got served up a silver platter of let's just stun everything. Right there. Malankar gets himself off that Versa Judgment. Elixir follows it up with the death from above, and triple stun just brings these guys down. Cynical loses 2 turrets. They've lost out that Kraken, and now that gold has all been patched up. There is a chance that Underworld has now just been able to survive so well. Like, they were behind, but they weren't game-ending behind. And now that they're on par, there's a chance that Eddie is just going to start finding less and less use here.
yeah, Eddie's trying to make space so that the team can start taking it out on the Kraken, but this is
Look
where
at the
siege
damage.
competition works so well, is when you're actually sieging and the Kraken just gives you so much power. Pro Sergeant trying to get away is able to for now, but Malankar going to follow forward, can't find the kill, but this turret will go down. This is likely going to be game for Underworld GG here. As long as they play this fairly safely, fairly consistently, then there's almost no way for Cynical ES to, you know, survive unless they take a fight. And Eddie's trying to find the afterburns, but it's just not coming forward. There's the burst of judgment. It puts so much pressure, and Eddie falls down. Turret's falling down as well. Underworld looking for airstrike. He's able to get away, but this turret's going to go down now. The space has been made. Underworld GG.
Wow.
They make their composition work. You know, as I said, and maybe I was a bit too harsh just based on the circumstances, I love their team composition. I can clearly see the win conditions. They just weren't making it work. Are they going to throw? Oh my goodness.
No, Alex has no energy.
Oh god.
He takes it out.
Just about. Okay, they get the ace right at the end. I thought that was like for sure over, but you know, Underworld GG, they make things interesting for us right at the end.
He bought a reflex when he died. Alex
for you,
didn't need it.
Just for you.
2-0-2. Wow. All right. So there you go. One swing. We talked about this in the preamble, right? Knife's edge. You're doing great. You lose out one fight, and everything goes downhill from there. That's the level of play that we're at right now. And if you make that one mistake, sometimes it's very hard to bring it back. So I feel like that was just the story of, you know, Kestrel and Sky ramping up, and the Glaive kind of just going sideways in his chart.
Yeah, I mean, he started off really, really strong. I actually thought I was really impressed. Cynical playing so cohesively. They were playing together, moving and rotating. Vision control was great. There was actually this really cool afterburn scene I saw guys talking about in the Twitch chat, where Glaive actually afterburned over the pit into the gold mine. Haven't seen that in a long time. But you're right, one mistake, that one fight, it actually was right at the one point Kraken had already come up, and Adagio almost died in that fight, but for the first time was able to get away, found himself, keep himself alive, keep healing himself, and almost died on a scout trap if the ace buff hadn't come in and saved him. But ultimately they stayed together, got the ace, and got the victory. So GG to Underworld GG as they wrap this up. Now they're moving on to play Echo Fox, so I think this is going to be a little bit different of a matchup.
Well, again, like back to the intro, Echo Fox, big organization, lots of experience in competitive.
Yeah.
These guys are well known throughout the community. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure there.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're gonna keep them here, or keep Underworld GG here as we rotate them up and bring in the guys from Echo Fox. And you know, you had a point to talk about Forecourt right before we switched over to this match about Echo Fox. I think I wanted to give you a chance to finish that if you remembered it.
Oh,
Rip.
maybe. That was like 30 minutes ago. You expect me to remember that?
I you know what? I thought maybe there was a chance. That was a bad chance. I'm never rolling that dice again. All right, so we're almost ready. We are actually going to take a quick break here, just a breather to get all the stuff updated. These players got to get in, and we're going to give the team that just finished this 3-game series a breather, and then we're going to get right into game number 1 between Echo Fox and Underworld GG.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download banned. Communication made easy.
Oh yeah, no, it was me and Forecourt.
Yeah, I was like switched around. All right, guys, we are back. We're getting ready for this matchup, and looks like everyone's ready to go. We're ready to go here at the desk. So we're getting into winners round number 2. Already starting round number 2, guys. And let's take a look at these teams. Echo Fox, number 1 seed, going up against Underworld GG, a number 33 seed that we just saw upset a 32. I wouldn't call it upset, but you know, beating a class higher than them.
Played well.
They played very well.
What an upset! Wow.
Any quick words, guys, before we get into this match on these two teams? You know, Underworld GG, I mean, they looked pretty good. Actually, really rocky early game. Did come in and looked really clean for that.
They didn't have an early game draft, man. Like, they were at the mercy of that glaive. Unfortunately, you just didn't get a lot done.
And also, you know, it took them a while to kind of work out exactly the Adagio's role in a fight. You know, Malinka always wanted to be kind of the tanky front line to stop everyone going into the back line, but actually, at the same time, Malinka needs to survive and apply CC so that the Kestrel and the Sky can lay down damage.
Well, guys, we're not going to take too long. We're getting into the draft now. Let's take a look at what we have. Game number 1, as, you know, I think Underworld GG, they've got their work cut out for them in this game. As I think that it's safe to say the competition is up a few notches.
Well, when the number 1 seed starts strutting around, you'd expect that people are going to be trying to knock him down a peg or two. But will that actually happen? Again, not entirely too sure. There is a lot of pressure going in. But a 31 seed coming off a 3-game victory like that, or a Game 3 victory, they do have a lot of adrenaline going into them. And now, if they know anything about the competitive scene, you know, they're up against these big pros. So there should be a lot of excitement into this. I'm hoping to see them kind of play to their strengths again. But, I mean, what will Fox do? It could be anything at this point.
It's Fuji coming in as well. We saw him come in for the team in the challenge battles, sticking with the roster at the moment. Papa Fu on the Rift, on the Fold even. So we'll have to see how the team plays. You know, this is something they haven't done for a while. The single ban in Challenger Series, probably used to more of a double ban. So there's so many more heroes open to them. We'll have to see what does get locked in. That's a nice pickup from Underworld. The Fortress being prioritized against Echo Fox with the Lyra coming in, you know, provide the mortal wounds, cut down the healing. Looks like they may pair it with a Ringo, which is just, you know, fairly standard stuff. But this is where
Adagio?
No, like I think Fortress into Lyra is good.
Right, but if we put an Adagio on Echo Fox.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, you know, double healer, mortal wounds cuts it all down, so perhaps it's necessary. We're going to have Petal come in, Fuji playing in the jungle, most likely, based on the fact that we saw him in the jungle position in the challenge battles. And Gwen could be the final pick here, and it is going to be the final pick, so a lot of range, a lot of explosions on the Echo Fox team.
Well, that's also a nice guaranteed stun with that Aces High, well, assuming you land it. You land that into a nice setup, especially for spontaneous combustion, for, you know, Petal to do Petal's thing. That could go a long way. Plus, you also got the Skedaddle, right? So that could actually be life or death on some of this. Jungle Scarf, at least unless that's going to be some kind of Captain Scarf. That's not something we've gotten to see a lot of.
Nope, but Fuji played it to an excellent standard during the challenge battles. So
Fuji has always played Scarf to an excellent standard, though.
Perhaps Alex Hill saw the challenge battles and wanted to prove something to coach here. We'll have to see. We're jumping on to the Halcyon Fold for the first game here of round 2 between Echo Fox and Underworld GG. Underworld GG clearly the underdogs in this matchup, but let's see what they got.
All right, so sticking together as 3, what we've seen in the VG8 is sometimes you stick together as 3 and you defend at your bush, or more often than not, if you're on A side, you move forward, just like what they're doing here. And Underworld GG kind of saw that coming throughout some of those Spitfires, but that's not enough to stop the Fox.
No, you know, they're just going to keep marching in. They've got the momentum, they've got the Treant as well. So important to control the Treant. You know, I talked to Echo Fox, specifically Fuji, about invading, and he said, you know, the team that gets the Treant will win the fight, and Echo Fox has just got both of them. So currently looking like they can just take over the jungle. They don't need the kills because they're going to get everything. Good's mind of Alexiel to go to the other side of the tunnel to take away these doubles here and at least get some gold onto the Scarf, because otherwise it would have been, you know, a fairly early starvation for the Scarf.
It was actually a really smooth move there, so I got to see Alexiel. As soon as that invade kind of went past the grass, he just swooped right behind him and just moved forward. Now, I did notice that, though, we did have a scout trap down from, well, I assume it was actually Kolamik, but they put it down, but it don't think it actually caught glimpse of the little dragon, so I assume that they knew that it was going to happen regardless, but you know, overall, didn't get any kills. At the same time, they are starting to put up the pressure. Now they're looking for a gank.
Yep, straight on in. There's buckshot to slow down, but they won't find anything but a bit of damage onto both. And you know, a bit of damage is actually a huge thing against a Fortress. He doesn't have any ability to heal apart from, you know, the Iron Guard contract and the last hits. So with the Lyra on the side for Mixi, it does mean that that lane is fairly huge. And actually, look at what they're doing here in the lane. A huge freeze, which forces Ruby to go back. There's nothing Ruby can do. What Mixi is doing here is making sure that he doesn't auto-attack the creep wave, so it's consistently pushing in. He does want to kind of hold it in front of his turret, but actually they're going to roam down because, well, I'm not entirely sure why he's roaming down. There's no reason for that.
Mixi has kind of been thrown off a little bit more balance here. He's lost out on 2 last hits ever since we started this freeze. So that nitpicking aside, yeah, Ruby heading on home just means, all right, a little bit of a breather. He comes back, a little bit more weapon, and immediately you see the trampoline forward. Fuji out for blood, but it's a bit early, I think, to try to close that gap.
Well, it's not about actually killing them, but it's more about pushing Ruby back so Ruby doesn't push the wave into the turret, because then you can hold the freeze there. If it hits the turret, then the lane is likely to reset, and it could even bounce back towards Ruby. So by putting pressure on Ruby, pushing him back, it means Ruby can't come forward to get CS. And look at the difference already being built up here. You know, it's not a huge difference, but every creep counts. Under the turret, gonna find Malankar. First blood goes to Echo Fox, just about survives the aggression there. Now with the first blood coming their way, they can push this wave into the turret, look to go back to base, buy up some items.
So, not that I disagree with anything that you said, but the counterpoint is, like, Kolamik is just babysitting this lane. They don't need Fuji to be putting up any kind of brave front here up in lane. It's Kolamik by himself with those oddballs that he's able to throw out is more than enough to keep most solo laners at bay. Simply because they just can't really trade out with Cole, not very easily, because he gets off the damage, then he heals if there's any counter, and you just end up losing the trade there. So again, I feel like Fuji just was a little bit maybe overzealous. Did show his hand though. Now they didn't know that he went back home. That is something that he kept up his sleeve, but Fuji so far level 5 here into the jungle. Elixir has actually kept pace there with them as well, but Malankar is starting to fall a little bit behind the curve here.
So you can see they're bringing the Scarf into lane. It's to put pressure onto Mixi. You know, the freeze once more being started. Currently, Echo Fox can't get it into a push, which they want towards them. And the best way to break a freeze is to actually pull your jungler up to lane to, you know, hard push the lane as much as possible. Or, you know, just put pressure on. Echo Fox, you know, they recognize that this is not going to be a time to freeze, so what they can do is rotate down to the jungle shop, even steal away this crystal sentry under the noses of Underworld, and that's exactly what's going to happen here because of the recall timers. So, really nice macro play coming out of Echo Fox. They're consistently building up gold for themselves. You know, they haven't really had to take any fights for court apart from that one, which was, you know, a turret dive more coming out of Underworld, and they've already got themselves a pretty strong lead.
1 kill between them, 1,000 gold. Not insurmountable, but it's nice and steady. It's slow and steady, and there's nothing really like at risk here, right? Kolamik has a lot of defensive capabilities for Mixi here in lane. Ruby has been consistently pushed off. Now you can see just that big showing. We don't have an ace here. Doesn't matter.
Much damage coming out.
I would have thought that.
To blow him up.
Yeah, I was expecting an Ace's High to come through. Like that's what it looked like they were positioning for.
It's hard to do it when you don't have it unlocked.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
You'll get it
you know,
soon enough.
that's the beauty of the Gwen. She slows down the Ringo. Ringo goes into Twirling Silver because he wants to run away. Buckshot comes out to immediately slow him, and then the Frostburn keeps Fuji in range.
Yeah, and the Frostburn was picked up on both sides. Alex Hill and Fuji both rocketed it. Mixi, though, into the Tension Bow. Can't say we're going to see the same here from Ruby, but Ruby's also taking a bit of a break there from lane, just looking down for some jungle.
Do you see the burst that comes out of the Tension Bow plus the Boomstick passive?
There's no armor.
Insane. Like, that was under half health in one combo.
Yeah, Tension Bow is pretty good when you don't have any armor.
Yeah, I agree. Mixi does take huge pokes. Now, there's the ace high. Another kill goes over to Fuji, and Echo Fox, they're just showing their stuff here. They're just playing fairly confidently, backing themselves, playing their composition as well as possible. Turret goes down, and they're going for an engage here. Everyone through the portal, and that's going to be Ruby falling as well. Can they get Elix Hill? Maybe too much for themselves. They go look for some jungle creeps, but there's no jungle creeps to take into backs, so they'll take away the fronts here. But this is what we expect to see. We expect to see Echo Fox, a VG8 team. They scrim against VG8 teams. They are consistently playing at that level. Coming into the Challenger Series, this is a time for them to find themselves maybe as a roster more than anything, but against the early composition, it should be a breeze.
Oh man, life's about to get a lot harder for these guys as well. Mixi buys not only into the Tension Bow, but now he's got that Sorrow Blade ready to roll, and Fuji's got a good chunk of cash here as well. With this gold miner going to be going through, I mean, he's going to be setting himself up for second item. Probably a broken myth at this point. Fuji might go into defense from there, but at the same time, if you're going to be this far ahead and you're feeling this good, you might just go straight damage. Like, just blow them up. You don't need defense if they ain't alive.
Right, you know, the best defense is a solid offense, is what one wise man once said, and Echo Fox currently putting it up. At least the Scarf, a solid pick into Pedal. That's exactly why Lex Hill has picked that up, by the way, is because of the fact that there's Pedal on the roster, so you can burn through the minions. It counters the Pedal out in theory, but if you are behind, then a counter doesn't necessarily mean as much unless it's a hard counter, which Scarf is not.
No, and Scarf is going to take a while to ramp up still at this point as well. Once you're behind the 8-ball and you have like this super late game kind of carry, it's going to be hard to deal with. And speaking of, Echo Fox coming in from behind, how will they deal with this?
Yeah, Underworld felt fairly comfortable taking the turret. They were holding the bush, but oh gosh, there's Ruby gone. Scarf under the turret going the wrong direction. Malakar's tanking it all up, trying to get the fountain out. Loses their life in the process, and that's just going to be a double kill and an ace coming forward for Echo Fox. Underworld GG, you know, they felt like they had it covered. Sitting in that mustache bush up the front, thinking, you know, oh, they come around the side, we'll spot them. Well, actually, they came from behind, got the flank off, and now Echo Fox, not only are they going to get the ace, they're going to put damage onto this turret, and once more steal away gold in the jungle.
Fuji's like, no, the fights aren't going to last long enough, so I'm going to get a Shatter Glass. Mixi's going to get burned down a little bit, gets healed up by his bro Kolomik, but no problem. But yeah, Fuji Shatter Glass into this. It's a lot of upfront power. Like, Mixi, with that Tension Bow, with that, I don't think we're going to see a breaking point out of Mixi, simply because the fights are over just before they begin. I mean, that's why Fuji doesn't have a broken myth here either.
Yeah, perhaps we see a broken myth coming out just for the Pierce, too, but you know, you're completely correct here, and Echo Fox is going to show what it means once more. Fuji, though, does have to heal up using those spontaneous combustions, but to get the initial kill, that's the Roma down. No fountain coming out either. Just bursted so quickly, perhaps not expecting it to be over as quickly as it was. And so Echo Fox, they can just continue taking stuff off the map. They're not going for the gold mine, which is a little bit interesting. I guess they feel like they can just siege the turret instead. Aces high lands on Ruby. That's his death sentence. That was hard to watch. Echo Fox just making things easy.
Yeah, they absolutely do. It's, well, it might not be what you expect, because you think maybe, all right, unknown team versus the number 1 seed, Echo Fox, VG8, right? You might expect the score to be 20-0 by now, but it's very cool, calm, collected. There's nothing rushed here, and Echo Fox are just taking every fight that they see the opportunity for, and they've been able to clinch it out every time here as well. So, you know, big credit to the team. They look very, like, if I had to say, they look non-stressed, right? This almost looks like it's just a solo queue game to them.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. They need to make sure though, that they do play it carefully, and knowing Fuji's character, they won't ever really allow themselves to get cocky, get childish, I guess, in their play. You know, Fuji will be shot calling this as if this was a VGA game, you know, trying to play things as safely and as methodically as possible. Try and make sure that Underworld never gets into the game and they're choked out appropriately. A good clean game is much better than the curb stomp, you know. If you play the game perfectly, you don't give up anything, no objectives, no kills, literally nothing, you build up a huge gold lead, you choke out your opponent. In my mind, that is a much better, you know, performance than just going for every fight. You know, you might die every now and again, you might try out a silly build. Yeah, you curb stomped, but actually, this playstyle, this is what Vainglory and Fox just blowing them up every time.
We're looking for that reflex block here from Ruby. It's just unfortunately not a thing yet. Oh, there we go. Just as I said, could have used it really nicely for that ace. I'll tell you that. But at the same time, again, Elixil, he's finally starting to think of his as well, but it's not going to matter.
Echo Fox just diving straight on into Elixil. That's going to be Malankar going down as well. Just as Ruby spawns, Ruby faces up against the entire roster of Echo Fox. The choke point turret about to go down. Final blow does go in. And 12 minutes, the brace is broken. 12-0 kill per minute here for Echo Fox, and a 10,000 gold lead achieved as well.
Yeah, so Ruby and Elixil, it's not like that they're playing, quote, bad. Yes, they don't have a kill. Yes, they're behind, but it's just kind of a weakness of their comps to not be getting any kind of defense when you're this behind. Yes, there is a counter argument that you need the damage to keep up, otherwise you're just going to be that much farther behind. But if you're not going to be alive to do the damage, then it doesn't matter. You know, this is what I learned out of my years of MMO rating: dead damage dealers deal no damage.
Yeah, you ain't wrong. You know, I think reflex block is certainly necessary just to try and avoid the initial slow or even aces high that comes out of Mixi. I do think that they kind of need damage, but they also just need to avoid fights. And that's the hardest bit. You need to lay down vision to do so, and Echo Fox are constantly clearing out. Malankar needs scout traps in their inventory, but, you know, is currently prioritizing the slot for flares. And so if you're going to have flares, then at least you need to have flares like 24/7 on prime spots. Echo Fox are just going to continuously abuse no vision. And then here we go again. They're just going straight on in. All the meat going out. Aces high lands onto Malankar. They're blowing them up. Good kite though, because it was Malankar that was the one stunned up, and I guess the fortress is a little bit more tankier. Underworld doesn't die immediately, which means the fight is prevented, but once more it will be gold going over to Echo Fox via the jungle.
Yeah, so there was no win there from Underworld, but they didn't die, and that's the bigger thing, that if they can stop really the kills, and it's 12 kills in 14 minutes, and that is a pretty hard roller coaster to get off of this late game. If you can stop that up, you can start really thinking about patching up the gold. Unfortunately, though, again, 14 minutes, 11,000 gold between the teams. That's not saying it's a entirely possible task at this point, Dowsy. But once Elixil gets into that reflex block, you know, Ruby has his there as well. If they can even just defeat the aces coming out of Mixi, there might be an opportunity with cooldowns still ticking down from Echo Fox that they can actually get a kill and maybe come back, but it's a very slim possibility regardless.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you there. Mixi going to get a correspondence. It's actually Underworld looking for the fight, but that is going to be Malankar going down, the scarf burning them alive, but just so much sustain comes out. Here's Echo Fox finding Ruby with the portal through. Elixil trying to escape. Will just about get out here. The minion wave is coming into the base, but I think Echo Fox is probably more interested in taking the Kraken away. You know, just spawned up here as well. 14-0, it's very clean from them so far.
Yeah, 14-0, that's going to be Kraken, and well, I mean, after they clear out the rest of this jungle, it's just kind of littered around with Fuji's little minions, and that could just be it. I mean, that could just be game number one wrapped up in a very tight little boat. Like, there's nothing that's been given up here. We're not quite 100% kill participation from these guys. Like Cole the Beak actually is. He's 4-0 and 10. It's 4-0-9, 6-0-6 for the rest of the teammates. But you know, one more team fight. Kraken. There's There's really a lot of ways to end this out, but it will be ended very cleanly here from Echo Fox.
Yeah, they're not wanting to give up a kill. They want to play a perfect game. They want to prove their macro ability, their team play ability, their shot calling ability. Every game, make sure it is as clean as possible. You know, Fuji will look back on this and go, you know, we made mistakes. I think you may not see them, you and I, but he does. Here's another fight. Elixir going to get stunned up. Ace is high to the face. Ruby, the next target here, as Malankar does just about get away for now, but Munyon will find the kill. There's the ace. The minion wave not quite in range, so Echo Fox make the call to go for the Kraken instead, which means that this game has a clock ticking down now.
Yeah, you're looking at something like a 17.5-minute win, and 17 kills, 17 minutes, a Kraken on top of that, no turret damage really to speak of. All right, the first one is 10%-ish, but it's still higher than 0. This will be pretty much that picture-perfect game from Fox. And again, they didn't rush into it. Like, if you compare Echo Fox versus the Rage Pingers, for example, right? Rage Pingers went for these early game aggression comms. They went for these flashy plays. Echo Fox took this way more seriously, it feels.
Yeah, no, 100%. You know, you can have a look at just the way they're building as well. Echo Fox, they're building defense. They've got triple Aegis on their side just because they recognize that Elixir is probably their biggest threat, and they built, you know, respectively, shut down the Scarf via defense because you can. Right now, what they're going to do is allow this Kraken to push to the base. They might follow it up to begin with, or they might just sit on this other side of the wall. They've got vision. They can port over the wall as soon as this Kraken starts taking the aggro, and they can just burst down this turret. Lovely play. Turret goes down without even a fire. Underworld going to dive on in, but this will just be to their demise, unfortunately. Malankar will be the first target. Ace is high, connects with Ruby, doesn't block it up. That's going to be 2 kills going on over to Echo Fox. They find 19-0 at 18 minutes. That's game 1 going their way.
We had a charm right there from Elixir. I haven't seen the Scarf charm before, but I don't know, you blew him a kiss. So thanks for the game. 19-0. Game did end, yeah? Okay, there it goes.
Yeah, Kraken walks off at the end of the game now. Just you know, goes back to what it was doing.
Kraken's awakened. Kraken is angered. Kraken has won the game. Kraken go home.
Yeah.
This game just continues to get better and better as time goes on. I remember when it just used to be like, boom, Kraken, done. Now it has like sweet animations. She's awakened. We actually have lore for her now. I'm not going to get into that here, though.
Yeah, but you know what, guys? That was actually a pretty enjoyable game to watch. I mean, you know, Echo Fox clearly played well. They did a really good job, but I was actually impressed. Underworld GG, you know, not falling over easily, at least at first, definitely trying to hold their own. Obviously, I think outmatched in most of those plays, even if there was a really close call for a few of those moments there for Echo Fox. But yeah, I think you know, late game strategy, probably not where you want to go with Echo Fox. You're probably going to want to focus more in the early game here, as I just think it took too long for the Scarf to wind up.
Yeah, he was pretty much a null factor. The Ringo at the same time, early game he can get work done, but just was never really afforded the opportunity. There was so much counter pressure in the lane. You saw the advantages accruing very early, and it was slow and steady won the race. Like 17 minutes is respectable game time. Maybe we're a little bit more spoiled from our previous matches, like, you know, 10 and 12-minute wins, but 17 minutes without giving up a single objective is a very solid way to start things off.
Absolutely. Yeah, Fox looking really well here in the second round of the winner's bracket. So we will be, you know, of course, watching them very closely throughout this whole Challenger series. So, you know, it's nice to kind of see them play so early. We're going to take a quick break as we actually wait for the teams. They need a quick second here. So we're going to be right back after this break to get into game number 2, Echo Fox versus Underworld GG.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download banned. Communication made easy.
Everybody, we're back. Get ready for game number 2. Echo Fox taking a clean victory here as we get ready for the second game. And I think by all accounts, I think we expect it to be pretty clean as well, but we're going to have to find out. It's actually already started, so I'm going to kick it off to you guys to get us into the draft. So let's see what we have so far, Forecourt.
Well, Dowsy, it's taking a little moment here to figure it out. Now, this is not a double ban draft. You don't have reserve time. So within 10 seconds or so, it's probably just going to be like a Lyra or Fortress ban.
That's what I'm expecting. Maybe they want to try something new. You've been playing solo queue, I can see. Congratulations there, Forecourt.
It's just, you see the patterns. It's like I'm in the Matrix, Dowsy.
Right?
I just see ones and zeros and
Just see
fortresses.
One of my eyes hurt,
An alpha ban. Now, Echo Fox, there is a lot of social chatter about Miss Alpha being a little bit more powerful than she needs to be. So, I wonder if that's in response to a lot of that.
Yes, no, it definitely will be. I'm hearing that there's a hotfix on the way, so that's about as much as I'm going to say. Lyra is picked up here by Alex Hill. Very strong pickup. Echo Fox will most likely counter this with a Lance. It tends to be the most powerful captain that you can go, or an Adagio. It just really depends on what they want to go. I would love to see, Echo Fox play like an Adagio flicker composition. That would be pretty fun. But actually, we're going to get a Lance and Adagio. So most likely a Lance for Cosmic. It's one of his favorite heroes in the captain position, and Mixi most likely to take the Adagio into the lane.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. Like, what we saw last round was a Gwen. We've seen as well Vox. We've seen Ringo. We've actually seen some Weapon Sky out and about as well. So we'll have to find out who exactly will fill in the void there for Echo Fox. But they have to deal with a Kestrel, and that's Kestrel, Lyra. And if this is a Gwen, this is a triple ranged poke comp.
Yes, it would be, with a healer on their side, very much like, I guess, oh no, that's exactly like the composition that they played against Cynical, but without an Adagio, and actually, I kind of feel like the Adagio was the crucial part to the composition, like, perhaps not the best part to the composition. I think you probably could have gone for something a little bit different, perhaps a Finn, just to give to create a lot of space for the ranged heroes, but actually we'll have to see how it plays out.
Alright, so double melee with an Adagio up against the triple range. The double melee feels like if you can play around the Lyra, then it's going to be very hard, especially early on, for Underworlds to kind of have their space, right? Because there's just a lot of gap close available here. Glaive has that Afterburn, Lance has that Impale. So Lyra, Sky, and Kester are all kind of on notice. If that gap does get closed and there's nothing to stop up the aggression, then yeah, Echo Fox is going to just be looking to keep these guys within that melee range. Maybe even bunch them up together, like double, triple Impales are absolutely great ways to start off engaging.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. And this is where I'm expecting Echo Fox to shine. Fuji dives in, Coldami dives in, Mixi just does damage from range. Of course, carry Adagio, heals a teammate, sets the opponents on fire, and then that's just going to be detriment to Underworld if the fights go on. And if Echo Fox play this as they did in the previous game, then Underworlds are really going to struggle from minute one.
Alright, so no invade, at least as deep as it used to. Echo Fox not going as 3, not looking for that invade. It does seem like a lot of the time it's just A side that does this.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Like we do see some B side invades. I think in theory you don't really want to be going up against a level 1. A level 1, I'm not entirely sure you're in a position to best. You know, forward barrage, give him a shot, and heal. Actually, that's a lot of damage. So Underworld, as a 3, I think, could kite back and out DPS Fox. And so it's probably more to do with the positions drafted than anything from Fox.
Nah, I wasn't entirely too sure Fox was going to care about that. You know, they just played a very perfect game
Fox
number 1.
100%. Well, that's it. They want to play perfect game number 2. Like, Echo Fox is an organization, like, and this is just testament to Fuji and his mentality, his mindset coming into things, is that they don't mess around. Like, this is all about playing the perfect game every time. That's his aim. So, you know, they're going to look to respect 100% what they see coming out of their opponents. They're going to play this like a VG8 game, and they're going to look to try and win as cleanly as possible.
And despite all of our talking and all that, again, just very cool, calm, collected, slow kind of early game at this point. Cold is up here in lane with Mixi, just making sure that nothing really too terrible happens to either of them. Fuji's been just left alone in his jungle this whole time. There's been no invades, no attempts at ganks. Now, with Fuji and Cold, I feel like you've set yourself up very nicely to do some lane ganking, but it's just not happened yet. So lots and lots of farming instead.
Wait for you know, damage items to come out. First damage, you know, tier 2s, maybe even tier 3s for Fuji. Currently on gold, gone back, picked up some components, which will likely build towards a fountain, you would assume, but actually, yeah, no, they will. So, yeah, we'll have to wait on that one quite clearly. There's an Impale, that's going to be a lot of damage going down onto Ruby from Mixi, but here comes Elixir. This is a chance for them to actually find a kill here, Underworlds. They don't want it. Ruby's low on energy, and Elixir doesn't look too confident in committing, perhaps not really sure of Fuji's positioning.
Well, they absolutely have no idea where he is. They can assume he's down in the jungle, but where exactly? And at the same time, you know, the threat of an afterburn. These guys just got murdered in game 1. They are taking no chances here themselves. They had a nice 3v2 situation and they engaged, and that's good, but at the same time, they're not chasing kills, right? They're not defending up against any kinds of invades because they're not there, but they're also not the ones really going super aggressive. They're just trying to match farm for farm, and when it comes down to it, you know, almost 4 minutes in, they have not been able to match that farm. They're about 500 or so between them. Some of that will get cleaned up here with the creep wave, but if you look at Fuji, you know, he's sitting at 25 to the 22 of Elixir. Ruby's at 35 to the 38 of Mixi.
Yeah, and Tension Bow just completed for Fuji. This is when Echo Fox will start to make the aggressive plays that you expect to come out of play. See more roaming up to the lane right now. Colomik will check the book. Elixir's in a bit of trouble. There's the afterburn going out. Elixir will get up against the wall, and first blood to Echo Fox. It's like clockwork for Court Jester. When you watch an Echo Fox game in Challenger Series, you expect it to tick like a clock.
I was going to say it's like clockwork. Yeah, it's a well-oiled machine, Mr. Dowsey, and yeah, just they're going to be finding Malankar here. Fuji is going to come down a little bit low, but he has a heal there in his back pocket with the Dodashio. Koldamik didn't have that fountain, but I'm not entirely too sure he would have thrown it down either. But that's just a nice rotation, looking for that Trent. And they get it, and they get the kill. And now Ruby, low energy, up here by himself. Mixi's just going to lay into him with it.
Yeah, no, it's, as you say, very nice stuff from Echo Fox, and, you know, I'm not sure who this Dowsey guy is. My name's Dowser, coming in here for this one, but,
yeah, I'm the fur coat jouster. Yeah.
Fur coat jouster coming out as well from, all good that life, I believe, but, yeah, we'll, we'll continue on here. It's a 2,000 gold lead, like, nothing to scream home about, but I don't see this gold lead ever slipping. I expect it just to continuously build for Echo Fox here. I kind of do want to see them get a little bit more aggressive as the season goes on, perhaps test their strength a little bit going ahead, and kind of see them doing so right now to take a fight. That's going to be Malankar knocked against the wall, and another kill going over to Echo Fox, this time for Mixi. Ruby trying to escape past Hot Boots in the end. Fuji looking for the Treant, but not able to secure it. So Echo Fox once more a third kill on the table. They push this wave into the turret, perhaps even try and find a kill onto Ruby if Ruby mispositions, or even Elixir.
I don't even think you have to really miss position. Like Fuji at this point, I think could just hit those boots and find Ruby pretty easily.
It doesn't have them currently up 30 seconds, so if that was available, yeah, no, I'm 100% with you.
So that will just be 3-0, as we said, you know, 2.5, well, not even 2.5, but 2,000 gold or so. They have found Elixir, and that's going to be a root, and that's going to be a stun, and that's going to be a hit.
That was a level 7 infusion as well. Like clockwork, you know, it's fairly standard. At level 7, you pick up an infusion, look for a fight. Fuji now going to look to take this gold miner by himself. You know, doesn't have Sorrow Crown, doesn't need it either though as a glaive.
A Sorrow Crown, huh?
Immense gold.
It's like the weapon power item that's coming out in the next patch.
Oh, big leaks right here. You can credit it to Dowser at on Twitter.
That's Dowser VT. But yeah, no, it's pretty nice stuff right now. Fuji looking for a gank over the wall. There's no vision either, so Underworld, they understand that Xbox is playing aggressively. That must mean something's coming, a good double root. But Fuji is just taking Elixir. He saw blood, he took blood, 5 kills so far, and they're going to walk up towards the lane as well. They've got the heals coming out of Lyra, but the heals coming out of Lyra doesn't necessarily mean anything when it's a weapon-powered glaive into a carrier Adagio. When he walks up, there's the Impale, and that's going to be Ruby gone. Don't even have to afterburn. The burst is just so huge. That's going to be the double kill coming through for Fuji here. Turret to go down very shortly as they tank that one up. Echo Fox at 8 minutes with a 4,000 gold lead and a 7 kill advantage.
I clenched a little bit. That 400 crit from Fuji was disgusting. It was great, but whew, man, 7-0 in 8 minutes. Just that well-oiled machine executing perfectly. We've debugged the issues. We're running at maximum efficiency. The turret is down. The kills have been coming swift and sudden. Fuji, though, it is something to talk a little bit about here while we have a little bit more of a downtime. Fuji's about to go pick up that Sora Blade, is what I assume. But with a weapon glaive, we've been seeing a lot of Storm Crown, not Sora Crown, Aftershock combos. And that's a cool glaive build, but it's not a damage glaive build. The difference here is that Fuji's going to have to really make every afterburn count since it's on such a long
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So used to seeing this utility glaive coming out, but so far has been doing it great. Now Malankar in trouble as he burns to his death. Kill goes Mikshi's way, and now they're going to continue this harassment of the turret. This is where things get a little bit hard for Ruby and Elixir. They don't have a front line to deal with. They aren't really able to poke down this position without control the stage. Fuji walks in, has the afterburn available, but takes a big chunk of damage from a well-positioned forward barrage, so that actually will force Fox back at this point. Fuji will get the kills though, and you know, this is just nice stuff from Echo Fox. They're not overcommitting. There's no need to overcommit. They know their strengths, their weaknesses, and they just keep going for it.
So if you guys have been listening to me at all over the last year or so, and some people do, some people don't, every time I see a triple poke ranged comp with Lyra, one of two things typically happens, and this is why I don't like the triple poked ranged Lyra. Like, when it works phenomenally because you got increased siege, you got massive potential to poke down your opponents, but up against a comp that just has hard engage like Koldamik on this lance, like Fuji on this glaive, right? The comp really does start falling apart, especially early on. And if you get behind the 8-ball against your opponents, if you're playing to their drum, if you're on their tempo, right, then you're not really going to have a big avenue to come back. And I feel like that's kind of what's happening here.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what Echo Fox are looking to achieve, is not actually give the road, not give a path for Underworld to come back into this game, you know. Choke them out of their jungle, make sure the only revenue of the farm that they're getting is the lane, and even then you have to share it between your two carries, these ones behind. There's an Impale though, this is going to be a fight as Malankar, the one target, not able to get away, so much burst on the side of Fuji as well as Mikshi just laying down at consistent damage. You know, 5.5k at this point. Fuji makes his way over to secure these backs. Koldamik just heating up the forward barrage to make sure no damage goes onto the creeps either. Echo Fox just continuously to play this almost crystal perfect. I say that almost will find a creep over the wall, but will pay with his life. So maybe it wasn't worth.
Hey, he stole both fans there with the sword barrages.
Yeah, but he died for it. So.
But he stole both tree instead.
Echo Fox, they're gonna watch the VOD back and realize they made mistakes.
So yeah, I like Lyra. I like her way better when she has a little bit of a front line to play with. A nice melee bruiser, nice melee tank. Is somebody that can really benefit from the backup support. A triple range like this, again, when you don't really execute very early on and you're behind and you're always the one being aggressed upon, I just don't think the comp really has any kind of benefits, because when you're looking to engage, what are you going to do? Like, at best, you're going to get a death from above, a lucky death from above, maybe. Like, Malankar, if he goes forward, he's dead. So you can't do that. And the rest of the ranged comp, like, there's nothing to hide behind. There's no front line for these guys. So it's always been a little bit more of a personal, turn off to see a triple range poke. Sometimes it works out great. Majority of the time, it does not.
Right, like, with an Adagio, I think it works a little bit better than perhaps with a Lyra.
Yeah, with the double heals in a range, yes, that's a little bit different.
Well, no, I mean, like, sub out Lyra for Adagio, and I can kind of see a bit of
still
theory
no engage
there. But yeah, no, I 100% agree. Put a bid in there. Perhaps the light companies are enough to keep everyone alive. There's another great group coming out from me, and that's going to be them. Looking for a bit of damage, but actually the poke going down. Mixi may lose their life. No, blocked up by Fuji as he dives in. Gets ridiculous with his kills there, and Echofox able to sustain. That was close. That was pretty close. In Underworld, they're going to be feeling how close that attempt was as they get dived under their turret. They do manage to escape this time. Echo Fox, they're probably feeling like they probably should have got some kills there.
There's also another factor to the glaive in terms of, again, looking towards like a Stormcrown Aftershock. It's great early on, but then it starts leveling off. That's why you transfer more into utility and you become a little bit more the front line, a little bit more useful rather than deadly. But with the weapon glaive, especially Fuji, who's playing this one out to a ridiculous streak, 10 out of 11 kills, he's been there, or he's the one actually putting him in the ground. He's not going to fall off. Like, this glaive is going to be a constant pressure, a constant danger to this team here on top of Underworld. And again, Malankar has a great tool to try to defeat a lot of that with the Bright Bulwark, but we're not seeing those kind of mechanics. Not the way that Fuji's playing at this point, because he's going in sometimes, I think, when they don't expect him to. I don't think I've seen a bait on the Bright Bulwark, but I haven't really seen one in response to a Fuji aggression yet either.
Right, it's Malankar constantly at the mercy of Fuji. That was close, that steal with the one shot, but the immense gold payout will be collected by Echo Fox in the end, increasing their gold lead to 9,000. And, they've taken away the jungle. They're going to look for some final items. Kraken going to spawn in 40 seconds. There's journey boots there for Fuji, looking to try and stick to his target. And
Fantastic.
Underworld, they're up against the wall. 30 seconds, Kraken spawns. Echo Fox getting ready for it.
We'll always do the last salute to the Crystal Sentry as it gets eliminated.
FF in chat, not FF, that's pay respect. Here comes a fight. That's going to be Ruby, looking like he will fall. Gets the fountain, but will that be enough? Mixi actually by themselves. Ooh, into the portal! Interesting choice. Maybe it's not a choice. That's going to be Ruby falling. Kraken awakens. Call Mink just frontlining like a boss at the moment. Mixi is taking a bit of damage. Forward barrage, but not able to find the kill. Ooh, it goes down! That's the first kill going to Underworld, and Echo Fox, well, not a perfect game anymore.
I wonder if they can still do Kraken between Cole and Fuji. I feel like Fuji brings enough damage that they can, especially after this heal from the Treant, but might have just wanted to take their ball and gone home at that point. Like, there was a Kraken just ready and sitting here. Fuji had already cleaned up on top of Ruby. Ruby just spawning now. But I feel like they lost an opportunity to kind of accelerate the end of the game here. By trying to just do that little bit of a risky play.
Yeah, I think they're perhaps attempting to push their boundaries, Echo Fox, but I feel like their coordination was 100% there just towards the end of that I guess tower aggression is maybe a way of putting it. Mixi was kind of holding the sky at bay whilst Fuji was allowed to have his way with Ruby. off screen, hopefully as well. But you know, the Kraken has spawned. Echo Fox most likely won't start it up unless they have a lot of vision, and you know, they flow out the prayers. They've got the mines in the jungle. Now going to start it up here. This is potential for a throw if the Kraken were to be stolen. Underworld, they're systematically waking their eye up, and Echo Fox, they pull the trigger. There's the Impale straight from Malakar up against the wall. Malakar dead in a second as the fire ticks away. Active camera locks Mixi in place, but now that they've lost their roam, this should just be Echo Fox securing the Kraken.
Yeah, if with Alexo and Ruby, neither of them really want to do the face checking. They don't have any flares between them, and that's like Malakar more often than not seems to go down without actually using that fountain of his. So either he's just getting locked up and beaten down to death, or just it's not worth it sometimes. But without Malakar there at the helm, no defensive options and no flares or anything, that will be that Kraken coming through. We do have a